Good morning, everybody. Are your nerves shredded at the thought of the toss? Okay, I'll give you the news. It's been won by Joe Root, and England will bat first. Yes, a warm welcome to our coverage of the fourth and the final Test match of a riveting series over in India. We're in Ahmedabad, of course, the second of the two Test matches there after all the debate and, you might say, level of controversy about the pitch and India's fabulous performance, really. A win inside 2 days in the end is a brilliant Test match performance, whatever the criticisms of England or the pitch or indeed the pink ball's influence in that game. Darren Gough is alongside me, and we've arrived, well, fresh and bright, and it's dark out there. We're 17 floors up here in central London at the News UK building, but we're lively and fresh and ready to go, aren't we, Goughy?
Of course we are. It's a Test match, and it's here live on TalkSport 2. I'm so looking forward to it. The last one was a great Test match for a 2-day game. Really enjoyed it. Let's hope we can get a few more days here in Ahmedabad. It's a day game. It's using a red ball, so we should do. And I'm very interested to see how this England team come back from 2 drubbings, which they've had. Let's be honest about it.
Yep, and in sport, so much of one's performance is dependent upon how you come back from defeat, particularly defeat that hurts, and it ensured that England couldn't win the series. Anyway, let's not delay any further. The toss, as I say, was won by Joe Root. Let's have a listen to the two captains.
We're going to try and make use of the start of the wicket. We think it will spin again at some point, probably quite soon. So I think it's important that we make amends of this first innings, make the most of it and try and get a good score on the ball.
It's the first Test match, you won the toss, and now the last one. 50th match as captain. How does it feel, this journey?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know that, to be honest. I think that the most pleasing thing is over the last couple of years we're really progressing as a side. You know, we're going to have ups and downs. It's not going to be plain sailing, but we are seeing progression and improvement, and that's all you can ask of this team. So, you know, it's a great opportunity for us here to finish what would be a very successful winter if we win this game. So, there's a lot to play for in that respect, and we just got to go out there and give a really good account of ourselves.
You mentioned after Chennai that many of the boys who are playing in this team haven't experienced conditions like these. What have they done to address them in the last 5-6 days which you had a gap?
I think whenever you have a tough couple of games, it's really important that you're very honest about things. You speak very openly, you use the experience around you, use the coaching staff, the other players that have played a little bit more in these conditions, and I think we've done that really well. We shared ideas, we've been honest, and I think the most important thing is we have full confidence coming into this game. You have to have trust in your own ability, you have to have trust in your own game, and this is a good opportunity for the guys to go out and do just that.
Any team changes and the reasons?
Yeah, we've got 2 team changes. Jofra and Brody come out of the team. Dan Lawrence comes in alongside Don Bess.
Thanks for your time. Cheers.
Cheers, thank you.
Virat, would you have also wanted to bat first?
Yeah, surely. Would have batted first as well. Quite a no-brainer, getting runs on the board. Yeah, especially on a pitch like this, which looks good to bat on day one. Yeah, surely would have batted.
As I said, 60th match, and next game you would have gone past MS Dhoni, somebody whom you have looked up to. How has this journey been for you as a captain of India?
Quite unbelievable, actually. When you're playing so much cricket, you don't quite realize how long it's been. But yeah, it's been amazing, especially in Test cricket. You know, we've come up the ranks quite rapidly, and we've stayed there for a while. It's been amazing to be a part of this group, to lead them. We have a great camaraderie, great atmosphere in the change room. We look forward to coming back together and playing together as a team, and that shows when we play, on the park, and people love watching us play. So, yeah, it's been an honor for me. It's been a great bunch of guys that have well supported what I wanted to do as a captain, and the team bought into the vision. So, it's been a good journey and continues to be so.
And any team changes for you?
Just one. Bumrah obviously is not here. He's gone home. Mohammad Siraj replaces him, and that's the only change we have.
Well, so much to pick out of those two conversations. Virat Kohli saying what an honour it's been. Indeed, if you lead your national side in India, you're right up there amongst the most important and famous people in the land. And of course, how quickly time goes. He can't really believe that it's Test match number 60 in charge. It brings into perspective Graham Smith's 100 Test matches as captain of South Africa. But anyway, Virat admitting he would have loved to have won the toss and had the chance to bat first. That is England's opportunity in this game. But Goughy, I'm taken aback really at one of the changes. Not best for Broad, I think we expected that, but an extra batsman for Jofra Archer.
Yeah, I think they were a little bit nervous about it. I sent a message out on social media the other day, Mark, I don't know if you saw it, and I said, well, the one test match I thought Chris Woakes might come into the side would be this one, to strengthen the batting and also his skill with the ball, because he does reverse it and he's good with the new ball, and he goes home as part of the rotation policy. So I'm kind of lost for words on everything that's happened over these past 6 or 7 weeks. But Dan Lawrence come in, it looked out of his depth a little bit in the first couple of test matches. They brought Johnny Bairstow in, who bagged a pair to replace him at 3. But now for Dan Lawrence, he's got an opportunity again back in the England side.
He's going to bat at 7, so he'll bat above Folkes but behind Ollie Pope, which is a fascinating move. I think your point about selection is important, actually, and worth pursuing, because surely Moeen Ali would have played in the last test. Surely Chris Woakes would be the perfect person to come in to bat at 7 or 8 and be a support to James Anderson as the single seamer, because we don't know how fit Ben Stokes is to bowl a lot of overs should they needed, but maybe they won't be on this surface. And of course Jos Buttler is the best counter-attacking batsman in the world from the middle order, and he hasn't been here. Anyway, let's welcome he hasn't got his headphones on yet. Gareth, you're a part of this early morning show. Gareth Batty is back with us for this test. Are you awake, mate? All good?
Very good morning, Mark, Goffey and all the listeners.
Very nice to see you. We're sorry that we missed you in the last test. Having said that, you'll have been fascinated by it, and you'll have been interested to see the return of Dom Best to the team. How difficult is that for him when all the talk was, pretty clear? No Moeen Ali and no Dom Best means there isn't much faith in Dom Best, given they wanted Moeen Ali to stay if he could have done.
Yeah, I mean, it's the conversations behind closed doors that we will never know about that are the most important for him. His confidence in the big wide world would have taken a pretty big nudge, being left out because of worried about consistency and so on and so forth. But I would imagine from how Joe Root has captained the team on the field and how the management are that we know, they would have had an arm around him. They would have been giving him the right information, and he would have been working hard. So I think it'd be good to go. I think the nonsense that we sometimes hear outside of the bubble of the England team is what we look at rather than what will actually be going on.
I think you've made a great point, and I'll add to it by saying that I think England's, not silence, but England's ability to stay within their own noise in the last week has been very good. If we've heard from anybody, it's been Joe Root. If we haven't heard from Joe Root, they've been on message. Whether we agree with it or not is neither here nor there. They haven't broken rank. What I would ask you is, because because it's India, is it harder for Best? Is the expectation from a spinner all the greater because the games are in India and we know that the pitches will offer?
Yeah, I think that manage of expectation of the ball spinning and the pressure that comes with that, so all of a sudden it's kind of, well, normally you take a bit of a backseat role as spinner until you get to the last innings of the game. You're up and centre from ball 1 of the game. But take all that out of it. He would be used to that because Somerset have played on pitches that spin, hence why the 2 Somerset bowlers are in the England party. They're used to that. But the big thing, and until you get there, until you bowl against these guys, you don't realise what you're coming up against. The Indian players are the best players of spin in the world, have been historically for a long period of time. They make it very difficult. They may score off your best ball, they may score off your worst ball, they can make it very difficult, and they throw up different challenges to just bowling our boys in the nets. And that's no disrespect to our boys. I think our boys are getting better and better at playing spin. But the way the Indian players are prepared to trust their defence makes it very, very difficult.
Goffey, obviously we've all been swamped by questions about the pitch, but the next most question I've been asked is about the pink ball and the fact that 20 wickets fell to straight balls. I suppose you call them straight balls. Actually, I don't quite call them straight balls, but let's not get into the complications of that. They're being called straight balls. People completely ignore angles in cricket, which is so important. But do you think that the red ball will skid less because it has less lacquer on it?
Well, listen, a lot of people have talked about that, haven't they? And they've blamed, rather than take blame onto the pitch, they've blamed it on the pink ball. And to be fair, they've got signing good points on it, because I think wherever we've seen a pink test around the world, it tends to finish earlier. Let's be honest about it. Whether it be on Australia, it seems to seam around a bit and bounce a bit more than the other balls. And if we've seen in India, it seems to have been that inconsistency. Whether we talk about angles, which I agree with you, the angles in which way the Indian spinners go from and the height they go from, the odd one's turned and bounced massively, and it's put doubt in the batsman's mind, so when the one's gone straight on, that's what's caused the wickets. But the pink ball is going to have a lot of debate, I would say, over the next probably 4 or 5 months leading up to the next one, because there has been excessive seed movement or excessive spin.
Every time we've had a pink ball in whatever test, wherever, it's had heavy comment, whether it's zipped around the place and been hard to bat against seam and swing in Australia and England, whether it's been wonderful for spinners in the subcontinent, or whether it's been no different and flat as a pancake and lovely to bat against because it comes on a bit in the Middle East. It's proof that perhaps the pink ball has properties of its own, but they're not that dissimilar from a usual ball, because they're reacting, those pink balls, to the indigenous surfaces of the country in which the matches are played.
The one question I would ask about the pink ball, it's a black seam, isn't it? So they've had to dye the seam. Does that affect whether the lacquer stays in the seam for longer? Because the red ball ripped up, didn't it, after 20 overs, and the pink ball didn't quite the same.
Well, the red ball didn't rip up quite so much in the second test, but you make a great point, and they changed it. In the first year of the pink ball test in Adelaide, they had a white seam. And then they changed it to a black seam, and there's no doubt the feeling was that even though there was less grass on the pitch the second year, the black seam stayed not just together longer, but had that, when it almost feels sharp on your fingers, and therefore may have reacted better off the surface even though it had a little bit less grass on it.
Yeah, it's that double-edged sword, because I think as players, whether you're fielding or batting, you want the black seam because you pick the ball up better, because you've got something to focus on more. The white seam gets sort of blended in with the pink almost. So from a visual, it's better, but from a nipping around and spinning, it's a nightmare for everybody.
Well, I can give you an example of how to prove how you know what you're talking about there, because Steve Smith said to me after the first year of the day-night test in Adelaide with the pink ball, he said he'd struggle with depth of perception, and at slip he was finding the ball, brilliant slip fielder, but he was finding the ball hitting his hands quicker than he expected. But the second year, either he'd got used to it or the black seam helped. Goffey, you wanted, as the players make their way to the middle, go for it.
No, I'm just going to think about the pitch, because I think we've gone down back to the black soil pitch now, haven't we? Is that what we've gone for? I think so. When it comes down to it, it retains moisture for longer periods, so I expect it to be better for batting. Virat Kohli, the Indian captain, mentioned, and it's quite funny what he did say. He said it's a big toss to win, because I think it'll be good. It looks a good pitch to bat on day one. It'll be the best day to bat. Of course it will, because it's going to retain its moisture, but it's still going to spin today, isn't it, Bats?
Yeah, I mean, the great Shane Warne says it, doesn't he, that when there's moisture in the pitch, it will spin just as much as it will seam. So, obviously, India, it's slightly different terminology, but I'd be amazed if we didn't see the ball spin a little bit today.
Right, if you're joining us for the first time, a warm welcome to you. The toss has been won by Joe Root. England are batting first, and Zach Crawley is out in the middle with Dom Sibley. We're pretty much ready to go. India have just one change. Mohammad Siraj has come in for Jasprit Bumrah indisposed, family reasons, it's given. Mohammad Siraj is a terrific young cricketer. Played some good shots with the bat, he did actually, in the test before last. Anyway, he's a pretty lively new ball bowler. Dom Sibley could do with time at the crease. That's his trade, really, time at the crease. Zach Crawley is determined, he's said it publicly, he's determined. I know it's the sort of the in word, really, stay positive, but I know what he means. He wants to look to score, bat with purpose. I think that's the important thing. It's going to be Ishant Sharma who will use the new ball. Some members of the crowd in and making a noise, just a sprinkling so far, but we expect a lot more. It's 9:30 in the morning in Ahmedabad, and here in London at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's dark and wet, a bit cold out there. We're 17 floors up, but we have no notice of what's around us. Only the excitement of what's on the television screens before us. Bright colours, the green emerald of the outfield, the worn pitch quite close to the one used. Some members, I say, of the crowd adding colour, as Indians tend to do, and beating hearts amongst England batsmen, those in the middle and those waiting in the dressing room to try to influence this test match. Joe Root has said it, to win 2 all in India and 4 out of 6 away from home on this tour of the subcontinent would be an extraordinary achievement. The umpire says play. Here comes Ishant Sharma now in bowls. And Crawley leaves alone outside off stump. A ball with no alarm, but on a good length and with sort of average carry, waist height through to Rishabh Pant.
Nice loosener from Ishant Sharma. Good length, got away with it. You can tell he's a little bit older. It gets harder that first couple of deliveries, no matter what you're playing in, T20, 50 overs, county championship match or a test match. But it was a good line, good length. Just Zach Crawley just watched it through to the keeper. Good carry, quite even. No, it's only the first delivery.
Yes, and they're standing a reasonable way back, Goffey, as well. They're not super close. 2 slips in the gully, 3 in the covers. Mid-wicket, mid-on, long leg. Here's Ishant again, big long strides, reaches the crease. That's a great delivery! That's out, is it? Oh my goodness, that's close to LBW. A late swinger into Zach Crawley, hits him in the pads, full in the pads, the meat of the pads, the shin area. Late swing in front of all 3, and yes, Virat Kohli reviews it. If he hasn't got outside the line, he's got a big problem here because it's full enough, I tell you.
It all depends if there was an inside edge. I don't know what you think, Bats, but the only thing that can rescue him here is an inside edge.
Yeah, I put my finger up as soon as he appealed, and he's shouting at Virat Kohli, review it, review it. He's not hit it.
Fair delivery. Give me front on, please.
Oh, murmur from Zach. You could read the word, and it wasn't a good word. He's very worried about this.
Oh, it's good.
Now, we've seen the first of the replays. It's mighty close. Hit him quite high, hit him on the knee roll of the pad, and he's a tall man. I don't like it, though. He's been given not out, so one thing in his favour.
Yeah, I think he might be all right here. New ball, as we've seen in the previous test matches, a lot of them have been going over the stumps with this review system. Good delivery, swinging to the right-handed batsman. That's the ball to get Zach Crawley.
Missing.
Oh, told you.
Goodness me.
Go to on field.
It's going over the top. Here we go.
On screen. Stay with your call. Well done, mate.
Excellent umpiring by Nitish Menon. Excellent. He was very confident in his decision, and it was a wild appeal, a violent appeal that said, give me, give me, give me. And they managed, he managed to turn it down. And anyway, the ball going over the top, so it wasn't an umpire's call. India therefore lose a review. Wow, what a moment. It's funny, what's done me there is I thought it hit him lower than the roll. I thought it hit him shin high.
Yeah, we have the luxury of the replay, and you watch it live. It hits him under. It almost hits him in the sort of between the knee bone and the shin bone, and you're saying, "Oh, that's all over the stumps."
It's left alone outside off stump. Crawley will be so relieved. All you want in India is a start. Need a bit of luck early on, but get in, particularly on the first day. Oh, I'll tell you, someone who has had a heart in his mouth. I know his dad, Terry Crawley, and Terry's a top man, and he particularly as his boy got out first nut in the last Test match innings he played.
You would have done. I agree with Bats. I think when we first saw that decision, it looked like it hit him a lot lower, and I think everybody in here thought that was out. But when you see it in the slow-mo, with weights gone so far with the reviews for Virat Kohli, he's had an absolute mare. That's one thing he's not done well.
He has, but I don't blame him for that one. I can see why you would have reviewed that. I think we all felt, as much by the sound, that's blocked on the offside. First ball right out the middle of the bat, good length, knocked down by Zach Crawley. I think we all felt by the sound, the thud, that it had hit lower than the roll. The hit on the roll is softer than on the main part of the pad by the thin, no?
Yeah, agreed. There's the cane, isn't there, on the shin part of the pad. It was the reaction of Crawley as well. He took his bottom hand off the bat. He sort of loosely wandered down to his partner. He just looked guilty. It's like you've caught your little one in the cookie jar. It's kind of like, I know, I've got you. It just felt guilt.
Yeah, here comes Ishant again. It's been such a good first 4 balls. It's left alone. He tries the outswinger for the first time, and the in-swinger's an underrated ball. Crawley left the outswinger alone very well. I think the in-swinger first up, threatening the pads, threatening the stumps, saying to their batsmen, how are your feet going? You've got to get the outswinger dead right, otherwise it's too easy to leave. The in-swinger, you can get half right and it'll always ask a question.
Oh, I agree totally. I think, but both of these people will say, yeah, you get the ball consistently going away from them, Zach Crawley and Dom Sibley, they'll eventually nick off with their technique and the way the back comes from. But I would agree with you totally. The in-swinger, from early on in the innings, you want him to try and hit you through mid-wicket. If you get the length right and you've got that in-swing, you're in the game.
Sharma again, the final ball of the first over, and Crawley plays it well, but it bounces a bit more than he thought. He takes his bottom hand off the bat, in control of his forward push. He survives the first over, not without alarm, and England are none for no wicket. We're commentating here from London on the third test between England and India, or I should put it the other way around really, India and England. We're on the fourth test indeed, of course. We're on TalkSport 2, but we're also on TalkSport for the next, the first 2 hours, the session until the lunch break. We're also with the Times and the Sunday Times, and they have that strong team, of course, Michael Atherton during the week, and then on Sundays Sir Alistair Cook, two of England's finest opening batsmen, and they write really, really good stuff. Atherton probably unparalleled amongst modern correspondents, and Alistair Cook very full of insight, as you'd expect him to be. So that's who we are, a good team coming together to bring you coverage of the Test match series in India. This fourth test, one that Root has said so often now, to get it to 2-all would just be so special for us. Now, that's not to say that there isn't, the real focus of attention is on India. India win, they make it to the World Test Championship final. Mohammad Siraj bowls a good ball to Dom Sibley, who waits and plays it nice and late. It just shaped away from him. He got enough bat on it to run it off the blade behind square on the offside for the first runs off the bat for England. He played it pretty well. You might think it was tentative, but actually I think by playing it late, he handled the late swing well.
Yeah, played it really well actually. Good outswinger from Mohammad Siraj to start up with. I love actually his run up, you know, he's got lots of energy in that run up. Nice bounce, runs it, and lovely action actually. And he's quite quick, so very exciting talent for India. He's 26 though now.
Yeah, but if you come with the right attitude, you can. He bowls another one. Oh, that's a good line and a good leave by Sibley. That's called knowing where your off stump is, which is the great discipline, and the one that all the opening batsmen of the past, many of whom were more hell-bent on defence than attack, said was the most important thing. Know where your off stump is, and I suspect that that's a discipline and an ability that still applies today. Yeah, Mohammad Siraj at 26 has got the attitude and energy and fitness of a 22-year-old. And he comes again. He bowls an absolute jaffer at Sibley. Angles in and zips away and beats his outside edge.
And the beauty of Siraj opening with Sharma, they complement each other. Sharma very tall, Siraj not as tall. Siraj generally looking to take the ball away from the right-hander, as we saw with this beautiful ball angled in to a bowed off stump and then leaves Dominic Sibley. As a rule, Sharma's coming into the stumps with a bit more bounce. So technically you've got to line up fractionally different to both bowlers. It's a real challenge for the two young English opening batsmen.
Well, that is the perfect ball because it didn't do too much. Only just missed outside edge, and he just missed the stumps. It's a little too straight and it hits the pad and it races down to long legs. It's 4-leg buys, and Mohammad Siraj is only out by what, Goffey, 3 inches there?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's sometimes difficult when you're not quite sure how much it's going to swing or how much it's going to seam off the pitch. You sometimes can be guilty. You want the batsman to play. You can get it too straight, and then it hits the seam and nips back, and then there you go. You get the 4-leg buys, which is frustrating. Frustrating as a bowler, frustrating as a captain, frustrating as a fielding team. But it's another 4 runs to England.
Siraj turns now, hair shaved closely at the sides, but moppy on top, as is the modern way. Here he is again, and he bowls a good ball, and it's an excellent defensive stroke from Sibley, who's sort of walking into it a bit, I'd say, but he held his position and held the bat straight. But Goffey, answer me a question. If you bowl a good outswinger, as he did 2 balls ago, and you're inexperienced and you've beaten the guy outside off stump, do you tend then to try to get it a bit straighter in search of the magic ball, and that's when you bowl the one that goes for 4-leg buys? Yeah,
unless you're Jimmy Anderson, who could just put it in the same spot every single day. I think guys whose mentality is to take a wicket every ball
Yeah. Siraz again, and that's the best forward defensive stroke of the lot. In fact, Sibley, by his standards, rather shows off, puffs out his chest, preens his feathers at the stroke. There's no run for it. It goes to mid-on. 2 overs have gone. 6 for no wicket.
Yeah, I think, let's say, it all depends on the mentality of the bowler. It really does. And I think if you put me in that position, or you probably put Army in that position, I don't want to speak for him, but I'm going to do, you would probably think, yeah, you're looking to take wickets every single ball, but if you're probably a bowler like a Glenn McGrath or a Jimmy Anderson or Stuart Broad, it's more about just consistently in line and length. And the modern day fast bowler now, who's had huge success, tends to be the bowler that has that patience and can put the ball just in the right areas consistently throughout the day. That's old school, really, when you think about it. They used to do that in the 60s and the 70s on pitches that used to nibble around. Just get the ball on a good length, top her off, and we'll walk away 3 for 40. 3 for 40 off 20 overs.
Okay, here's Ishant Sharma to Crawley, and Crawley makes to play and then does what a lot of opening batsmen do because of bounce, I think is what makes you. He pulls his bat to the inside of the line of the ball at the very last minute. Some would say he was beginning to play at that, and others would say no, he had it covered.
Yeah, just playing inside the line. But the interesting thing, Rishan Pant took that ball with fingers pointing up, reverse cup. So there's a bit of carry in this pitch. There's certainly something there for the fast bowlers, which will be, well, for these two.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah,
well, it's part of the pitch. There's more moisture in a black soil pitch. So it's playing to how we expect it so far.
Well, England, I mean, I really can't put too fine a point on this. England have to bat well today. They just have to. Ishant Sharma again. Very tall guy. Looks, that's a little wide and a slightly iffy, sort of wavy, nothingy shot from Zach Crawley, drawn in by the nervousness of the moment. He's got lucky. He's missed it and it's flown through to Pant, who takes it in front of first slip at waist high.
Well, I think it's quite obvious, and we all know here, but Dom Sibley and Zach Crawley both prefer to start against seam, especially Zach. Zach likes to get bat on ball early on, plays good through the leg side. He played some fantastic shots in that last test match on that first hour. And Dom is probably looking in a situation where he's just happy to play against seam. He needs to get a score for his confidence.
A little change to the field here. That's why we've got a small delay. Third slip coming in. Come from extra cover. So 3 slips a gully, a cover point and a mid-off on the offside. Here's Ishant again. And that's a lovely in-swinger and a lovely straight drive. That, like Graham Gooch, that he just waited for the ball and kind of dropped his bat on it. And it's gone for 2, is it? Or 3? 2. Just a couple. Might have been 3 had they really sprinted hard. If it had been Bairstow Pope, there might have been 3 in it. Anyway, Crawley will be pleased with that.
Yeah, I think because it's 2 seamers for both of these young opening batsmen, it's almost like the comfort blanket. It's what they're used to, it's what they're brought up facing, seam bowlers and swing bowling, and then when the spin comes on, they've already got their feet moving a little bit more. They've got into an innings. Whereas when you start afresh against spin, you've got to be on the money, haven't you?
It won't be long, bats. They'll be on. Don't worry.
Ishant reaches the crease now. He bowls a really good ball on a length, angling in, not really swinging, but maybe just shaping in. And Crawley again takes his bottom hand off the bat. That shuts the face because he hasn't got quite the control he'd like. The ball goes out onto the leg side for no run. Go on, talk about the pitch because we're getting a flyover of it from the pitch cam.
Just had Goffey smiling at me. Around the sort of popping crease area, it's absolutely bare. It's almost like a 3rd and 4th day pitch where the groundsman has filled in the footholds from the big fellas, and then you go to the 5 metre line. There's a 5 foot line. Sorry, there's little white marks on the pitch. It's almost like somebody's had a nail and a hammer just going dunk, 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 putting little scuff marks everywhere.
I think because the ends have been so crumbly and bowlers have grumbled about them so much. Here comes Ishant again. He bowls a ball that's left alone on a good length, left alone by Zach Crawley. There's no one. I wonder if they've already put the filler, it's not cement, but the more solid material into the ends and sort of cut their losses a bit. What do you think?
They could have done it. It was the second test match. Stuart Broad, you could hear on the stump mic saying to the umpire, can we get this sorted because the footholds were really loose. He said in England we use some cement within some of the loam just to hold it all together. I know they do it at Old Trafford. I think other places have sort of taken the sort of followed that lead.
Well, it would make sense because it does take a long time for the groundsman to come out and keep filling these crumbling holes, these dry, dusty, loose things. Number 97 on Ishant's back, and that comes into Crawley, who drops it onto the leg side and takes a single. That's really good thinking, because it was a sort of thing that if there'd have been a really alert mid-wicket fielder who moved like Ricky Ponting and threw like Ricky Ponting, your heart would be in your mouth. But as it is, they've got a single, and rotating the strike, such an important part of creating a batting partnership. 9 for no wicket now from 3 overs. You're with us on Times, well, on TalkSport 2 and TalkSport, and with the Times and the Sunday Times. So there's lots of us involved, not least Gareth Batty, the former England off-spinner, Darren Gough, former England quick bowler, once an all-rounder, but in the end maybe just a quick bowler, and me, Mark Nicholas, all part of our team bringing you coverage of this test series that's caused such interest and at times frustration. Also here today, Andrew McKenna, Neil Manthorpe, Steve Harmison and Jared Kimber. Here's Siraj again, bowls a lie, he's a hustler, comes in length, left
like
alone, good length though, isn't it?
As I said, Mark, I really like his energy. I think he brings a lot to this Indian team. And when we talk about India performing all around the world, they've got the complete bag, haven't they? They've got their spin department covered, they've got plenty of batsmen covered, and they've got loads of seam bowlers now. So we've criticised the pitch, but to be fair, whatever pitch they play on, India, they're always going to be in the game because they've got so much talent within their squad.
Haven't they ever? No. Forward defensive stroke from Crawley, who's trying to hold his position actually, and does so, but he's taken his bottom hand off the bat on, I would say, all but one of his forward defence strokes so far. He could get a slightly bigger stride in actually, if my view. But
well, probably he's thinking the previous 3 test matches, the ball's been hitting right in the middle of the bat with a bounce, but this one, a bit more moisture in the pitch, from a good length, it's getting a bit more bounce, so he's probably playing a little bit low at this moment in time.
Alright, interesting point. He plays that nicely, and there was a slightly bigger stride and a better bend to the front leg, so that his whole body shape seemed a little more over the ball and a little more in control.
Yeah, if there is such a thing, you would play, say, in Australia, and you get sort of that quick tennis ball bounce where the ball really does jump at you. This feels like it's got carry, but almost a skiddy carry, if that makes sense. So it's hitting the bat a little bit harder than he's expecting. So you really do have to be in the shot, Mark. Like you said, you've got to get your head, lead with your head, and then your left arm and your left foot will then lead into the shot, and you get that little bit closer to the ball.
It's a really interesting point about that skiddy carry, as again Crawley goes forward to a length ball. This is good bowling from Siraj. That is a mop on his head there, isn't it, as he shaved the sides violently and left the rest. But anyway, he's got a thick beard as well as he strides back to his mark, purposeful as ever. A young man thrilled to be wearing the shirt of India and representing this great cricketing land in Ahmedabad in the 4th test match of a series against England. Now India have to win this game. They need to go 3-1 to take their place in the World Test Championship final in England against New Zealand. Still not decided where that game will be played, Lords or the Ageas Bowl. And a drive, but for no run. Just uppish to start with, on the up from Crawley, whose natural instinct as a batsman is to look to dominate the bowler. There's no run, it goes straight to cover point.
Yeah, spot on. I think that, so we've seen enough, haven't we, of Zach Crawley now, whether it be in county cricket or since he's put the England shirt on. He likes to go after the new ball. He likes to put bat to ball. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Pitch is not doing that much yet. There's a little bit more bounce to this new ball. That looks like there's a little bit more carry, but that makes it easier for the batsmen to play their shots.
Oh, now a drive from Crawley that goes off an inside edge to long leg for a single. It was 180 degrees from where he was aiming it through wide mid-off, but anyway, it's worked okay for him. He's just, what's the word here? We've had 4 overs, he's 10 for no wicket, and he's just a little jumpy. And the reason for that is he knows the value of winning the toss. He knows the opportunity before him. He's eager to grab it. He feels he's in good nick, having cruised to 50 or 60 in the last test. And he must take this opportunity in his own eyes to prove himself in India. and then you just go a little high. You just try to grab your chance rather than let it come to you.
Yeah, it's that old adage. You sometimes can try a little bit too hard. So you tense up basically when I say you try too hard, and you become a little bit jabby as opposed to that beautiful flowing motion that we see from great international athletes that are on view today.
He has got the strike back. He's the sort of guy you wish well. Well, you do, all cricketers really. In comes Ishant Sharma, and he bowls a lovely ball, very straight and off stump and on a good length. And Crawley defends it at the top of its bounce, which tells you that he's waited for it, hasn't rushed at it. And there's no run.
It's not a bad thing actually, but Zach Crawley is taking much of the ball because of those runs he scored in the last test. Because for Dom, it's just about spending some time out there, getting used to it, calming down, getting his adrenaline, you know what I mean, because he'll be pumped up knowing he's got to get runs in this first innings, and let him just watch Zach Crawley feel his way into the game, and then he'll get his chance to build that innings, which, let's be honest, he needs.
I'll just do this ball and then we'll introduce the great Manners, who's alongside, well, he's not alongside me, he's about 4 metres from me. Behind Perspex, but you know he's not far away. Ishant Sharma again to Zach Crawley. Beats him with a good ball. Just holds his line. Doesn't do much else, but sort of ball you do see go past the edge of the bat. Manners, good morning. All well in your world?
Very good, thank you, Mark. Yes, we're more sort of unsocially distant, aren't we, rather than socially distant.
Enjoying this is Neil Manthorpe with me, enjoying your time staying with Gareth Batty?
Indeed, yes, in the guest annex. It's been terrific stuff. Look forward to coming in summer next time.
Quiet, hasn't he got eaten?
Yes, no, he's got a wood burner. Fantastic. England 10 without loss, just the 2 slips in now. 2 slips in a gully. Here's Ishant Sharma once again. Good leave outside the off stump once again. And Zach Crawley. I agree with your observations and Mark's observations. He just seemed like a man anxious to take an opportunity that he knows is a really, really good chance. He's played enough cricket to realise when circumstances and conditions are in his favour. He knows that batting will never be easier than on the well, not easier, but less problematic on the first day of the Test match. Win the Test on a pitch that he actually said 2 days ago thought would spin early. Here is Ishant Sharma once again outside the off stump. Good leave. Very good leave. I always say there's only 2 kinds of leave, and Ishant Sharma is bowling in swingers, and Zach Crawley's got to be absolutely on top of his game, because I don't know how close that was to off stump.
Well, as a fast bowler, you used to go to India and you used to think, yeah, it's going to be bowler's graveyard, but there's definitely some carry in this pitch, definitely pace, there's some bounce and some swing, so there's a little bit for everything. We expect it to spin, but that's good carry, isn't it, through to punt.
Hey, in spinners' words, if it goes off the straight, everybody's turning around saying you've got to get 10 for. These two need 10 for here. They've got a bowling go down in next hour.
No, this is what you expect from a pitch, though, isn't it? That first half an hour be a battle between bat and ball, new ball in hand, and then flatten out. Spinners come into play on day 3.
10 without loss. Crawley 4. Dom Sibley has 2. The rest are leg byes. That's again just wide of the off stump, and another leave from Zach Crawley. He's, as I said, got to be really on top of his game, leaving with Ishant Sharma bringing the ball back into the right-hander.
Yeah, and I just think both Sharma and Siraj have started brilliantly. They've held a great line and then they've held a great length. They've really, really challenged. Probably more of Crawley because he's faced more balls, but they're both very different in how they get the ball moving. It's gone inside edge and outside edge. It's been thrilling so far from the 2 big lads, and England have been up to it. It's been really challenging stuff.
A word from you, Bats, if you will, on the team selection. England left out Jofra Archer. They've included the extra batsman. Here is Ishant Sharma once again pushed square of the wicket on the offside. So Dan Lawrence is down to bat at number 7. I assume that's where he will bat. And so England, if you include Joe Root, which you have to now after his 5 for 8, they've got three spinners with Dom Best, Jack Leach. Were you surprised at all?
Not with the balance. Personnel, maybe Goffey could touch on who he would have gone for out of the fast bowlers, but no. We're very fortunate that we have Ben Stokes who can perform that second fast bowling role. You've got your 2 out-and-out spinners, and you've got Joe Root who can back that up. Lawrence was the only man still in the touring party that could bat in that middle late order, and he offers you a little bit of spin if you were to really need to justify it. But the balance of the team is almost the same as India. We're just very blessed with Ben Stokes.
I think what I would have gone for, man, as I said, but unfortunately he's gone home as part of the rotation policy. Chris Woakes would have been ideal. If we would have lost this toss, we'd have been bowling on this pitch with one seamer, really. Ben Stokes is hardly bowled. He's hardly bowled with a new ball either, so it would have been a strange decision watching Stokes now in Anderson ball where the ball's not seeming, a little bit of movement, a little bit of pace and bounce.
Right, Axar Patel is into the attack. The left arm spinner who took 11 for 70 in the last test match, and his first over. Forward comes Dom Sibley, really reaching for that, not lunging but just stretching, getting that back hamstring going, getting right out to the pitch of it, playing the ball in front of his pad. Axar Patel, well, what a start to his career. 18 wickets at under 10. Here is Patel's bowled him, he's through, straight on with the arm, that one from Axar Patel. Dom Sibley's on his way. Second ball, would you believe it? Axar Patel continues this extraordinary start to his test career. Second ball, he strikes. England are 10 for 1.
Well, we talked about angles, and Axar Patel is a fantastic start to his test career. Again, wide of the crease, tall action, good line, good length, a little inside edge from Dom Sibley, but he hasn't got a clue against spin this series. He's really been found out and lacking in confidence, and Patel again takes another one from a ball that goes straight on with the arm. Bowled Sibley. 10 for 1 England.
Yeah, it's a very nice piece of bowling, but I just feel like it's the angle of the bat here from Sibley, how he's addressing the ball. The angle is sort of fractionally open face, maybe looking at extra covers left hand. Ideally, with him bowling wide of the crease, if you can line it up and almost hit it back sort of to mid-on almost and take the inside edge out of the equation, if he turns and bounces the ball and it nicks you to slip, well, so be it, but defend one side, defend one bit of the stumps rather than little bit opening the face. It just allows that little inside nick, or had it not have hit the inside edge of the bat, it might have hit the pad. It's just trying to shut out that dismissal of the inside edge.
But it's a lack of confidence, isn't it, guys? I mean, you've got a guy with Dom who's searching for runs against the spin. He's found it difficult. He mentioned in Sri Lanka he was finding it difficult. Again, it's a real test of his technique over in India, and again he just looked like a man who wasn't convinced which way it was going to go, and his technique, as he said, has been brought into play, and this is why people have been saying this week he's vulnerable against the outswinger. We know how good he is off his legs, but he's vulnerable against a good outswing bowler, can set him up, and then against the spinners he's really struggled, and that was one of the doubts about him when he first came on the scene, Dom Sibley, but how would he have played in Sri Lanka and India? That was a massive part of the consideration, whether he was going to get picked when he eventually did.
Johnny Bairstow fresh on the back of a pair in the last test match, and I mean, you can't possibly say how he looked. I mean, you can, but not with any authority, because he just wasn't there long enough.
Well, he looked shell-shocked in the second innings. He really did. He went in.
You can say that.
He did. He looked shell-shocked. He looked in a position where there's a lot of pressure on him coming into the pitch. He knew he had to get
swept at his first ball.
Yeah, a lot of pressure, and it looked like it got to him. But he's had another week out there now, hasn't he, to get over it, a few more nets, get his mind right, and this is a big innings for him. Well, it's a big test match for Johnny Bairstow. It'll be another occasion where he gets his place out of the side goes.
Axar Patel into Johnny Bairstow, quicker one, and that was much quicker, and it hits him on the pad, and there's an ooh and an ah from Rishabh Pant. Tell you what, that's I don't know that's over 100 kilometres an hour, that one from Axar Patel. That is much quicker
Yeah, sweet bowling from Patel. He just set it up in his fingers differently. He didn't have the seam across his fingers. He had it almost going down his index finger. So it made it just drift in a little bit more and zip into the pad of Bairstow. It was a wonderful piece of bowling.
Catching cover, slipping a short leg. Bairstow drives at this one and pushes it firmly past the catching cover to Rohit Sharma at orthodox extra cover.
It was an old-fashioned arm ball, wasn't it? First up to Johnny Bairstow. Thought he's going to be lunging forward. He's a bit nervous. He's come off back of a pair. He's going to lunge forward, and there he goes, the arm ball.
Axar Patel in once again. This was a little bit more air, and Bairstow pushes forward. It's the inside edge and down into the ground. I must say, Ravindra Jadeja is going to have to look for a trapdoor back into this team with Axar Patel in this kind of form. He's 19 wickets.
Well, he comes in for Sundar, doesn't he? I think it's the obvious choice.
Two left-arm spinners.
It's two good left-arm spinners and an unbelievable off spinner.
And he bats, doesn't he, Jadeja?
Spot on, he comes in for Washington Sundar.
Jadeja's got three first-class triple hundreds. Here is Axar Patel. Forward comes Bairstow once again, pushes it straight back up the wicket, and there's no run. And it's time to say good morning for the first time to our analyst, as always, and resident Australian, Jared Kimber. I don't have a question, I'm just saying good morning.
I have something for you if you want, although it's been ruined by Axar Patel's wicket already. But Ishant Sharma's lengths. When he started his career, and early on in his career, he was bowling, his average ball was landing at the 8-metre mark, which is probably somewhere you would think where someone like Harmy would probably land the ball more often than not. Last couple of years, he's been down at almost the 6-metre mark. He's almost taken 2 metres off his average length, but overall over the last 10 years. So it shows how much more he is pitching the ball up. And in the last 3 years, he has a better bowling average than Pat Cummins, which is handy. Pat Cummins is pretty good. I don't know if you've seen much of him, Manners.
Isn't he the number one bowler in the world still?
Yeah.
The rankings. Here is Ishant Sharma again, bangs it in, back of a length and leaping up onto the back foot. Zach Crawley pushes it, punches it out through square leg for another single. England move on to 11 for 1.
Yeah, I think last 3 years Pat Cummins averages something like 19.8 per wicket, and Ishant Sharma's 19.5, I think, off the top of my head. So they've both been pretty good, but to be better than Pat Cummins when you're bowling a bit of your time in India, it's an incredible thing. But he certainly has. He's changed. It's funny, he's compared to Jason Gillespie a lot, but Jason Gillespie was a real pitch-up bowler. I think they're just both tall and had long hair for a long time, but he's finally bowling like Jason Gillespie after spending some time with him at Sussex.
And pointy beards.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they have a similar kind of beard. Is it too deep for 4:30 in the morning?
When Gillespie had a beard, it was quite pointy, like Ishant Sharma's. I can't think of too many other similarities.
Harmy, do you know what your average length was? Did they ever give you that in metres? I know you were sort of right at the point where Hawkeye was sort of coming in.
Morning, Steve Harmison. What a question to start off with.
Yeah, very much so, Jared. Yeah. Good morning, Manners. Good morning, everyone. Should we move on from that one a little bit?
Do you know what your average length was? Goodness gracious me. England 11 for 1. Zach Crawley on 5. Johnny Bairstow yet to score. Full and wide enough to be left alone by Bairstow. I'm guessing he'd have been 6 paces from the stumps. 6, so like 6 yards.
Yeah,
7.
Yeah, just a little bit, probably just a little bit shorter than that. I would say
8 then.
6.5, 6.5, 7 was probably in natural length, which is something you talk about natural lengths, and you hear commentators and you hear people talk about the bowler. He's natural length. McGrath's natural length was a little bit shorter. Gillespie's a little bit fuller. Brett Lee's a little bit fuller. Darren's a little bit fuller than mine. It's in a natural length as a bowler who basically closes his eyes and just runs up, hits the deck in a natural way, and that's what Ishant has got better, and there's no coincidence that his numbers have got better.
Here is Ishant Sharma once again, full enough and wide enough to be left alone by Johnny Bairstow.
If it is your natural length, it must be a very hard thing to change then. Like, I mean, you can actually see it. Like, it's taken him a long time. Probably took him 4 years of working on it to get this full.
Yeah, the thing that you find as a seamer, and KP was the biggest culprit of this as a batter and not understanding bowling is, well, just bowl at the stumps. You just say, just bowl at the stumps. Can you not hit the stumps? Can you not? But as a bowler, you're trained not to hit the stumps because you're trained to bowl that sort of 4th, 5th stump line. Because if you do bowl at the stumps, good players, top players, even first-class players, never mind international players, you bowl it off stump and it disappears through mid-wicket in a flash.
Here is Ishan Sharma once again. Up to the crease now, bowls, and it's a Yorker outside the off stump, Yorker length. There's oohs and ahs as Johnny Bairstow plays at it and misses it, but it was a harmless delivery, which is what it brings us to that subject of, when rained off matches used to be decided by bowl outs.
Yeah.
The three, you get 5 bowlers bowling at 3 stumps, and a batsman would be going, "Why can't you hit the stumps?" And the bowlers would say, "Because I'm not trained to hit them."
Didn't Dhoni actually take the ball in a bowl out for India? Because he just said, "I don't think my seamers can hit the stumps," and he just bowled very slow medium straight to the stumps.
It probably is better that your batters do take the ball rather than your big tall fast bowlers. Fair enough, your shorter bowlers, but your tall bowlers, natural lengths and the way they hold the ball, the way they look to bowl, it tends to either go over or just sort of slightly wide of off stump.
Here's Ishan Sharma once again, bowls in swing, a big in swing, a booming in swinger, and it goes down the leg side, past leg stump, and nicely taken by Rishabh Pant. Many years ago in the 1980s, there was I can't remember which competition it was, Nat West, but there was a bowl out involving Gloucestershire and Big Sid Lawrence. Do you remember?
I remember Big Sid, yeah.
Honestly, he's coming off half a dozen paces, just aiming for the stumps, and it's still gone through at chest height.
That was that bouncing as well.
It's a very, very cruel way to decide. I think a toss of a coin would be probably fair on both teams. England 11 for 1, winning the toss, batting first is Ishan Sharma. Big appeal for leg before, swinging too much, I think, once again. It was full and started straight enough, but was swinging too much and was probably missing leg stump. Johnny Bairstow yet to score off 9 balls. Zach Crawley has 5, the man out. Dom Sibley bowled second ball, or Akshar Patel's second ball, the left arm spinner, for 2. News of the teams. England have brought in Dan Lawrence to bat at number 7. They've left out Jofra Archer and Stuart Broad, and they've included off-spinner Dom Bess. So 2 changes from the team that lost inside 2 days in the last Test match. And India have included Mohammad Siraj in place of Jasprit Bumrah, who's unavailable for family reasons. England winning the toss, batting first, and Akshar Patel, who's not quite at the top of the list for those with the most wickets in their first 2 Test matches. Here is Akshar Patel down the wicket, driving Zach Crawley. Beautiful shot, used his feet very nicely indeed. Step and a half, got to the pitch of it and has just pushed it firmly straight back past Akshar Patel. Foot use.
Yeah, great foot use and good intent. Good intent by Zach Crawley. This is the way the young man plays. He looks to score. I think he works the theory that if he gets himself in a positive position to hit the ball, he's in a better defensive position if he needs to readjust. And he uses his feet, come down the wicket, and it's gone straight through Akshar Patel's hands as well. So the bowler just feeling it right on the end of his finger there. And a good positive intent by Zach Crawley here is what is needed. He's not going to go in his shell. He said that in an interview during the week, that he doesn't want to sort of get bogged down. He wants to play his natural game, and Zach's natural game is to come at the ball. He'd rather come at the ball than sort of shy away from it, where someone like Dom Sibley's natural game is to sort of absorb it and take it away. So a good start by young Crawley here.
He's up to 9 from 26 balls. Johnny Bairstow's yet to score, which means he hasn't got a run in the series after his pair in the last Test. Here is Akshar once more, and forward comes Crawley, blocking that one defensively up towards mid-on.
Just seen a little slight tweak in in stance, not in stance, but where he's taking guard, Zach Crawley. He's a little bit further leg side. And I just wonder if that is giving him a better eye line of the ball coming in.
Axar once again. Oh, Crawley again using his feet, step and a half, and Axar had taken the pace off the ball on this occasion, and in the end he just had to check the shot. It's going to be fascinating to see what changes England's batsmen have made, and that may well be, well, it obviously is inspired purely by having to face Axar, and the left arm spinner is in once again, and it's pushed away by Crawley up towards mid wicket. I wonder if that's to counteract that quicker, skiddier straight honour that he bowls that has been so effective for him. If you try and get outside the line of it, you know, I mean, obviously you expose your stumps, and there are counter arguments to you doing that. Crawley uses his feet once again. He's heaved this one straight down towards mid-off and straight into the hands of Mohammad Siraj. Zach Crawley's used his feet. He's trying to go over the top. The ball has spun and skidded off the face of the bat. Mohammad Siraj is halfway back to the boundary at mid-off, and he barely had to move. He just watched it from the bat up into the sky and into his hands, and England off 15 for 2.
Yeah, there's positive intent and there's also recklessness, and I think that is the latter. I think he's a little bit like a cat in a hot tin roof for about 4 or 5 balls there for Zach Crawley. Wants to come down, wants to show intent, but not only do you have to pick the right ball, you have to, execution has got to be perfect. Mention him staying leg side. It's not too dissimilar to the wicket, to the dismissal he got out in goal. I think it was the first test where he ran down the wicket, he's looked to elevate it straight over the top, he got the bottom edge of his pad and he's hit it straight up in the air. This time the ball's just I wouldn't say sat in the pitch a little bit, but it was a little bit shorter, and because it is a little bit shorter, it's bounced because of the newness of the ball, a little bit of hardness of the pitch, higher up in the bat's twisted in Zach Crawley's hand, the ball goes straight up in the air, and it's a very, very simple catch. TM dismissal for Crawley in England. From, you know, we're talking about confident movements and confident starts from a movement point of view from the batsman, are now in real trouble. England captain walking out to the crease, as he often does. England 15 for 2.
You're listening to commentary of the 4th test between India and England on TalkSport 2, and indeed at the moment on TalkSport, with the Times and the Sunday Times cricket team led by former captains Michael Atherton and Sir Alistair Cook. And while Axar Patel has more taping applied to his fingers and Joe Root marks out his guard, I shall hand over commentary at this stage for the next 20 minutes to Andrew McKenna. Morning, Macca.
Thank you very much, Manners. Yes, wow, this game moves along. Final ball of the 8th over about to go down, and Joe Root is in already. Axar Patel has his wickets already, 2 of them, and India have posted a short leg to get close into Joe Root. In goes Axar. That one bounces a little bit up round the stickers of the bat, and Joe Root pushes out on the offside. 15 for 2 are England. They won the toss, elected to bat, and 15 for 2 after 8 overs here on TalkSport 2. Harmy, just to continue what you were talking about there with Neil about England's approach, I was reading Ian Chappell wrote a column on Cricinfo, and the headline was, "Why are England's batsmen taught to sweep instead of using their feet against the spinners?" And the whole thing was about how players used to be taught, you know, you get to the pitch of the ball, use your feet, even if it's, you know, a couple of steps or whatever. Is that just maybe something that Zach Crawley feels more comfortable doing than some of the other players, or do you think this could be a change of approach from England?
No, I just think that's Zach's natural game. We've seen him many times come down the crease. He's a big, tall man. Zach's well over 6'3", 6'4", if not a little bit taller. So it's more natural for him to use his long levers, get out to the pitch of the ball, get to the pitch of the ball, and either hit through the ground, hit along the ground on the offside, or elevate through the air to sort of get mid on and mid off back. That's his natural game. Somewhere like Johnny or Joe, a little bit shorter. Ben Stokes, a little bit more crouched in their batting stance. Their natural game is to sweep. As soon as the ball goes in and around, sort of outside off stump, the fielder can get their hands free, down on one knee, bang, there's the sweep shot. So all batsmen bat in a different way. There's no right or wrong way of scoring runs in Test match cricket, but the execution's got to be bang on. And if the execution isn't bang on, like Zach Crawley showed there, bowlers are fantastic at hitting it same area, putting you under pressure.
Ishant Sharma to Johnny Bairstow. It's a short one. Bairstow pulls his head out of the way and he goes through to Rishabh Pant, and there is no run. There was just a small pause before we started the new over, as Johnny Bairstow could see somebody moving behind the bowler's arm, and he was just actually explaining it to Virat Kohli so that Virat Kohli could translate it for the umpires to explain exactly where the situation was. It's given us a chance though to welcome Akash Chopra back to the commentary box here on TalkSport 2, the former India international. Well, red soil, black soil makes no difference. Akshar Patel's in the game already. Akash, good morning to you.
Good morning to you as well, and yes, you're absolutely right. Barring that first innings of the second test match, Akshar Patel has been all over this English batting lineup, and now it seems it's more in the mind as compared to what's in the pitch or in the air.
Ishant is on the way once again. 2 slips and a gully wide of Bairstow's off stump on this occasion, and there is no run. Very interesting, Akash, listening to the Indian players over the last 2 or 3 days, where they've been, asked a lot of questions about the ball and the pitch, and they said, well, look, it's just approach and technique more than anything else from a batting point of view.
See, pitch was a little tough, definitely challenging in the previous game. Pink ball had its own role to play as well. I'm sure everybody's entitled to their own opinions. We heard from the Indian camp, we have heard from a lot of former cricketers as well. I do feel that the pitch for the third test match was a really challenging one, and pink ball compounded the problems. But then you look at the technique and you ask that question. Yes, technique is also under scrutiny and question.
Ishant Sharma is in once again past the umpire, and Johnny Bairstow is underway in the match and the series. He's pushed through wide gully through backward point, and Akshar Patel won't get that before it goes through the boundary at wide third man. So Bairstow is underway with a 4. England 19 for 2 here on TalkSport 2. Harmy.
Yeah, Johnny will be a relieved man. I've really enjoyed the way Ishant Sharma's bowled this morning. I really have. His intent has been brilliant, and what I mean by that, he's bowled it hard into the pitch. He's got the seam canted towards off stump. He's looking to bowl a little bit of in swing, but because he's looking to hit the pitch hard, there's a little bit more bounce in the pitch. When he does hit the seam, it does something, and I think that's the whole top and bottom. When you do hit this pitch, there seems to be something there, and I think that's what Ishant has done very, very well this morning, because he showed good intent and he's looked to hit length hard. Because he's done that, if there is any sort of lateral movement, he's getting it through the air because his wrist's right behind the ball. But if it does hit the sort of seam that's going in towards a batsman, it has just moved slightly.
Ishant is in once again. Bairstow beaten outside off stump, and that's through to Rishabh Pant. Goes through roundabout shin high. Bairstow definitely played at that one though, but from his point of view, fortunately didn't make contact. It is a glorious Ahmedabad day. It is going to be hot. We're talking about sort of mid-30s, 35, 36 degrees Celsius throughout the day, and indeed throughout the whole week. So the pitch is most definitely going to get baked in these conditions, and therefore it might have had a decent amount of moisture in it before the game, but you've got to imagine that 2 or 3 days of this kind of weather, it's going to be dry in next to no time. So Akshar Patel, Ashwin, they're all going to come into their own. Here goes Ishant Sharma, right arm over. Johnny Bairstow walking into that one a little bit. Back hip has come round, but he's pushing out on the offside, and there's no run.
And for that very point, Mac, that's what England said at the toss, and England captain said at the toss, but also listen to Virat Kohli's comments at the toss. This will be a better pitch to bat on. First up in day one, if we had won the toss, we'd bat first. So it is so important, like it was in the last test match, that you get the best chance to bat on this sort of surface. You've got to make here, you've got to cash in, because you could soon be behind the 8 ball if England do take their eye off the ball.
Final ball of this 9th over. Ishant's gone for the boundary to Bairstow so far. Bairstow tapping away and waits for Ishant to go past umpire Menon, and that one again is nipped back into Bairstow. He's taken it off of well, round about thigh height, worked it down to Siraj down at fine leg, takes a single, so Bairstow will retain the strike. England 20 for 2 after 9 overs here on TalkSport and TalkSport 2. Bairstow has 5 from 15 balls faced. Joe Root has faced just the single delivery yet to get off the mark. Steve Harmison is alongside myself, Andrew McKenna, and Akash Chopra is with us as well. There is good carry in this pitch if you bend your back so far, Akash, isn't there?
Well, there is, and this is what you get from red soil surfaces, a bit more bounce as compared to the black clay surfaces that we see primarily in the north of India. That pitch, the first test match pitch or rather the second test match pitch at Chennai was a bit of an aberration. So when you come to the west, you go to the south, these are the red soil surfaces that you see, and that's where you'll find a bit more pace, a bit more carry to the keeper, and therefore a little more for the faster bowlers to just stay involved and stay interested.
Bairstow will face Akshar Patel. He's got 2 for 4 already. This is only his 3rd over of the match. Slip, short leg, short extra cover on the drive as Akshar goes around the wicket. It hurries on to Bairstow, work to Pujara at mid-wicket, and there is no run. If you weren't with us at the toss, I appreciate people are joining us all the time as they get up for work. England won the toss. They elected to bat. They made 2 changes as Archer and Broad were both left out. Lawrence and Bess into the team. Akshar around the wicket, Bairstow forward, pushing out on the onside. No run. So England went Crawley, Sibley, Bairstow, Root, Stokes, Pope, Dan Lawrence to bat at 7, Ben Folkes at 8, Bess at 9, Leach at 10, James Anderson 11. So they have certainly stacked the batting a touch more for this one. India making just the one change. Bumrah is out with Mohammad Siraj coming in. Akshar Patel is in, hits the middle of Johnny Bairstow's bat, pushed out on the offside, and there is no run. Zach Crawley, the second man to go. Dom Sibley out to the second ball that Akshar Patel bowled. An inside edge bowled him for 2. That was 10 for 1, and then Crawley using his feet, getting caught at mid-off by Siraj off Akshar for 9. Bairstow pushes up to mid-on, takes a single and will make it easily. Good rotation of the strike, gets himself up to the non-strikers end, goes to 6. England 21 for 2. So yes, 10 for 1, 15 for 2, that all inside of 8 overs. England now approaching the end of the 10th over are 21 for 2, and Joe Root comes back on strike.
There's a good single there by Johnny Bairstow. Both Root and Bairstow batted a long time together. You know, played junior cricket and then a lot at Yorkshire, now in England. So that's what England did, and these two, especially these two, did well in Sri Lanka. Rotation of strike is huge.
Siraj is in. Root takes the inside portion of the bat. Would have gone through a backward short leg. It's fielded at short fine leg by Siraj. A single is taken, but Root didn't look overly comfortable for that for a moment, and it wasn't that far away from Shubman Gill under the helmet.
No, but he's got right out there. You talked earlier about sweeping. He's got right out there, smothered what bounce that Patel gets, and he's got an inside edge. And Bats was saying earlier, if you play down the line and you do hold your shot, if it turns too much and gets an outside edge or an inside edge,
as Bairstow plays up to finish the over, no run,
then if you do, hopefully you get that little bit of luck and ball spins past, or goes wide or short of short leg. But it's decisive movements. It's not indecisive where you get caught on the crease. Joe Root was right out there. He was nearly on his knees when he played that, and because of that, softer hands, and it's gone a little bit squarer than short leg, and that's what England need. More decisive movements, more positive mindsets, and that's not positive as in reckless like Zach Crawley. But when you do have positive movements, you get yourself in a better position, not only to attack the ball but to defend the ball. And that's the trouble that England were in that last Test match. So positive signs for Bairstow, positive signs for Root, good rotation of the strike in that last over, and that's what they're going to need, because boundaries aren't going to come fast and free flowing. So if they are rotating the strike, Akshar Patel's not getting into a bit of a rhythm, and it's a lot easier to sort of get the flow and get things going in the batsman's favour.
Siraj is going to be into the bowling attack now for the 11th over. 2 overs have cost him 3 so far. He replaces Ishant Sharma, whose 5 overs have gone for 9 with 2 maidens in. So Seema for Seema. And in comes Siraj in past the umpire. There's a decent bustle and pace to that one, and bounce as well, and Root fences at it outside of off stump. It's through to Rishabh Pant, and Root is already chuntering away to himself, saying, I shouldn't have done that. Akash Chopra is still with us. Akash, some of the reports in the lead up to this one said that they thought that Umesh Yadav might play in this. They've gone with Siraj. Did you ever think there was a chance Umesh would play?
There was a chance because his record at home is exemplary. That's Umesh Yadav. But then I would have preferred Mohammad Siraj over Umesh, and that's what the team has done as well. Just the amount of cricket that this guy has played.
Siraj is in outside of Root's off stump, and he's got nothing to do with it. Yeah, continue that point, Akash.
So Mohammad Siraj actually played the 3 test matches in Australia, made his debut in the Boxing Day test match. That's where Umesh got injured. Then he played Sydney and also the game in Brisbane. He played the 2nd test match here, and when you put all those things in perspective, you must play a guy who's got some game time and not getting somebody out of the cold completely, and that was Umesh Yadav. Yes, recovered from an injury, but no first class cricket leading up to this game. I wouldn't have taken a chance. I'm happy with Siraj playing.
I guess one of the things as Siraj goes in, and Root again has a little fence at that one. It's not a full-blooded shot. He's playing off the back foot, bat away from his body, and it just goes past the outside edge of the bat. I guess one of the questions around Umesh coming into this was he's got 96 wickets in home test matches, and there's only 4 other Indian seamers who've got 100 test wickets at home, so maybe it was almost the statistical pressure as much as anything else that people were asking the question, could he therefore become the 5th to join that list, and maybe that led to some of the debate rather than the actual selection, if you like, being the right one for this match. Root solidly in behind this one from Siraj, and there continues to be no run. It is the 4th test. India and England on TalkSport and TalkSport 2 with the Times and the Sunday Times. Their team led by former England captains Mike Atherton and Sir Alistair Cook, of course. And we're in place for this 4th test. If India avoid defeat, they are in the World Test Championship final to take on New Zealand. And Siraj is in, and that's a ball that's hurried onto Joe Root. Root is jumping in behind that, and that's still taken him on the left hip. So there's decent pace and bounce in this wicket, Steve Harmison.
There is, yeah, and it's because they're hitting the pitch. They're not pitching it up, trying to swing it, trying to get the ball to shape or anything like that. They're hitting the pitch hard, and if you hit any surface hard, you and if it's got a little bit in it, you've got a great chance of getting some lateral movement out of it, and that's what's happened here. Ishant Sharma's bowled. I thought he's bowled a decent spell this morning, going in as Siraj comes in and bowls a little bit of a false start, but Sharma's gone in and gone in and he's gone in, and then all of a sudden that first ball of Siraj just took the ball away because that's his natural shape, and Joe Root wants to play sword fencing outside off stump, bringing slip into play. Then all of a sudden the bowler gets that little bit of a feel-good factor, and he's bowled a very, very good over, a very tidy over here.
He's in to finish the over. It's a bouncer. Joe Root plays at it and gets it through very fine leg and away for 4. He's just helped it on its way, and Root goes to 5. England are 26 for 2 here on TalkSport 2 after 11 overs after winning the toss and batting.
Just see the England captain there. He's not happy with himself. I thought it was a very, very fine shot, that, to be fair. It was a good bouncer, very good bouncer. This was on the England badge. This was a high bouncer. Actually, it was a little bit higher than that. And the England captain managed to get his hands over the top and controlled it, got it down to fine leg, and it was a good shot. But you could see he's walked up to Johnny Bairstow in the middle of the over, and he's cursing because of the foot movement he's showing that last over. Wasn't quite to the Joe Root standard, and I think he might just be finding it difficult to pick up length in the difference between Ishant Sharma, who's a little bit taller, taking the ball into the off stump, and Mohammad Siraj, who's a little bit shorter and taking the ball away from off stump.
Well, the other thing is Siraj's first ball of that over was 126 kilometres. The 5th ball was 141. So there's also picking up the speed. Right, Akshar Patel to start the new over. Johnny Bairstow turns to mid-wicket where Pujara is stationed and there's no run. So yeah, there's getting used to the line, used to the bounce, and then also the speed. So 3 variables in one. Ahmedabad bathed in sunshine. A small crowd at the moment. Again, allowed to have, well, up to 50-odd thousand. But we're not near that at the moment. Akshar is about to come in, and then Johnny Bairstow steps away. He's going to settle back in now. Rishabh Pant is behind him. Akshar in, around the wicket. Bairstow has cut this one just past slip. It was not a controlled shot. It will go away for 4 through third man. There was some bounce on that one. Rahane thought he was in business for a second there. It seemed to just loop wide of slip. Had there been a second slip or a gully, that would have been straight in at waist high. Bairstow, as it is, goes to double figures, and in England a 30 for 2.
Yeah, it just seemed to sit up. It was a little bit in slow motion, actually, Macca. It wasn't quite full enough to drive, so Johnny's gone back. The ball's just bounced on him, sat up, and he's flashed hard. So if you're going to go hard, and it makes the catch a lot more difficult. You're right, though. A gully in, and England might have lost another one.
Bairstow solidly forward to this one from Akshar. No way he was playing an attacking shot of that. He pushes it to Virat Kohli, a short extra.
Actually, to be fair, if there was a gully in, you might have been calling for a dentist, because I think that might have hit him flush in the teeth, because that bounced and he's gone up with it. So, I like to say, Johnny, if you're going to go hard.
Akshar left on around. Bairstow uses his feet this time. Isn't playing an attacking shot. He's just getting to the pitch of it and pushing it back down the back down the pitch. You can hear Rishabh Pant, though, the wicket keeper. He's already getting excited. He's laughing and chuckling away at the thought of the England batsmen using their feet, because he thinks they're not good enough to get to the pitch, and he's going to be in business as a wicket keeper. Akshar in, solidly hitting the middle of Johnny Bairstow's bat to complete the over. No, sorry, that's the 5th one gone. 30 for 2 are England. Akshar wastes so little time getting through his overs. He's just waited while Bairstow fiddles around once again. Now he's on his way, and again Bairstow forward solidly to complete the over. 12 overs gone now in their first innings. Some more thoughts from Steve Harmison, and Mark Nicholas will pick up the ball by ball.
Yeah, it was good over there by Johnny. He come down the wicket, and I think the reason why he's coming down the wicket is just not for Akshar to sit in and try and get Akshar to either go that little bit fuller when he does throw it up, or go that little bit shorter to give him some room, and Johnny's got quick hands to cut, like we've seen second ball of the over. So good intent by Bairstow, a little bit more experienced than what Crawley is. So I don't think Johnny's going to come recklessly down the wicket. I think Johnny's coming down the wicket to more defend, to potentially put Akshar Patel off his line and off his length, and trying to put pressure back onto the bowler.
I hope you're right, Harmy. We're on TalkSport and TalkSport 2, coverage of the final test match of England's tour of India. Of course, one-day internationals and T20s to come. We'll bring you those on TalkSport as well. 30 for 2, Bairstow 10, Root 5. The pair have played very well together over the years, averaging, I don't know, in the 60s, I think it is, something like that. I've got that detail here, I'll come to it in a second. But they certainly have a good record batting together. Yorkshiremen who grew up not quite alongside each other, but not far from it. England have got an extra batsman today, by the way. Stokes is at 5, Pope 6. Then Dan Lawrence has been brought into the side to bat at 7, effectively replacing the quick bowler Jofra Archer. Ben Foakes at 8. Dom Bess is back instead of Stuart Broad at 9. Jack Leach and James Anderson. So only one specialist seamer, James Anderson, of course, to go with Ben Stokes. Only bowled 15 overs in the series and taken the 1 wicket. And there's no other seam bowling option there, so it's those two, and then the 2 specialist spinners, Best and Leach, with Root as backup. Interesting. Anyway, the 2 men out. Dom Sibley bowled by Akshar Patel for 2, slightly through the gate, I'm afraid. That angle, the ball didn't do a great deal, but the angle worked. Just clipped his inside edge before it went under the stumps, and then Zach Crawley will be, well, beyond disappointed in himself, I think, coming down the pitch and chipping the ball up to mid-off where Mohammad Siraj took the catch. And guess who? Akshar Patel has taken both of the wickets that have fallen this morning. Gareth Batty has slipped into his seat, and it's certainly not the start England would have wanted, and we can't put too greater emphasis on one partnership, but heck, it would help if Bairstow and Root hung around.
Yeah, and the two real senior players in this England lineup, you would say, and the partnership is crucial to England getting a substantial first innings score. I think the signs have been good from England, I really do. I think even the guys that have got out, they went about the business. They were prepared to leave the ball. The seamers had a lovely start from India, probably not what they would have been expecting. And the way that Bairstow and Root have lined the ball up, in particular Bairstow to Axar Patel, the way he's lining up with the inside edge, he's taking the LBWs and bowls out of the equation, you would think. For now, the signs are good. And the best thing about Root and Bairstow, they will rotate the strike and they're quick between the wickets. They'll put the Indian bowlers and the captain under a little bit more pressure with potential field placements and being able to get dots on them. So it's a massive period in the game for both England and for India.
I'm going to pick you up on that. For India cannot afford to be beaten by England here. If England lose this test match, they don't make it to the World Test Championship final. Anyway, Mohammad Siraj, finally we start again after a long drinks break. That's horribly close and that's out. Absolutely stone dead LBW. Joe Root trapped back. It hit him low, it nipped back, it's hitting middle and leg. I don't think he'll review it. Nope, he won't. What a blow. Mohammad Siraj. His energy, his hustle and his skill have done for the England captain.
Oh, this is a tough ball to get after the drinks break. Shiraz just running the ball back in, just past the perpendicular on release, and it's just angled back into Joe Root. It's a good length, just that sort of length. Should I come forward? Should I come back? It catches him on the crease. There were two noises. Initially we thought, could it be back? But I think it just clipped the front pad and then rattled into that back leg. And it's smack in front of them all. Height would have been the only issue. Joe didn't think so. There was no talk of a review, and a good decision and a good piece of bowling.
It did hit him slightly higher than at first thought. But Mohammad Siraj, what a I really like him. I can't tell you. First saw him in the IPL. Like how he goes about his business. Just like the sort of range of cricket ball that he bowls. I mean, he's got plenty of options. He knows exactly what he's doing. He keeps hammering away at areas that batsmen hate. He hits the bat hard, and he's nipped one back off the seam, the natural variation to the outswinger, but done Joe Root, and he's done him. That's what he's done. He's done him for length, for movement, quality from Siraj, and out comes Ben Stokes. And if ever England needed a big innings here, I know Root has spoken so strongly about the need to make this 2-all and kind of justify all the planning and the time taken and the bubble life and so many things to justify at the moment in cricket. It would be a desperate blow to lose the first test and go on and lose the series 3-1. Well, from 30 for 3 after just over an hour's play on the first morning, you'd say England had an awful lot to do.
Yeah, and you wouldn't say the bowler's done masses. If anything, it's done a little bit more for the quick bowlers than it has for the spin, and yet Axar's got his 2 wickets up front, and Siraj there, I mean, a wonderful piece of bowling. I'm not taking a thing away from the ball. Did it stay a fraction low, Mike? Possibly, or is it just a wonderful piece of bowling on a good length?
No, very good. I thought it did, but again, the replay says it didn't.
Yeah.
So we got that. He's just back, isn't he, to a ball others would go forward to.
Yep.
Here's Stokes facing Siraj, and he takes his bat out of the way, but that doesn't stop it hitting the toe end and running to slip safely along the ground, admittedly, but a bit of indecision there from Ben Stokes. A mighty cricketer, a mighty warrior. India know that, and they know how important his wicket is. Slips in place. India's confidence and joy in the moment abundant, as the third English wicket has already gone down this morning. Stokes chews gently on gum, waits, looks narrow-eyed. Here comes Siraj, bowls a good ball outside off stump, which is left alone by Ben Stokes. You're listening to commentary of the third test between India and England on TalkSport 2 with the Times and the Sunday Times. Try it free for 1 month at thetimes.co.uk/cricket offer. Subscription automatically renews unless cancelled. Terms and conditions apply. Yeah, I did hit him on front and back pad, Joe Root, just coming back to that discussion, but probably when it hit him on the front pad, it's clearly about the right height, and I reckon it's hitting... Oh, in fact, the TV's just showing us now. It's hitting Midland leg near the top of the stumps. Now he bowls a ball at Midland leg, does Siraj, that Stokes gets squared up to because he starts to work it to mid-wicket. And then he changes his mind and holds the bat straight, trying to sort of hold the defensive shot off and accept that his body is going to get in the wrong position, but if he keeps his hands and head right, he'll keep his bat right.
Yeah, and Siraj is the sort of bowler where he's at you. He's through the crease, his general lines are good, and he's generally fullish of length. He's testing your movement early.
And the same thing, this time it gets the outside edge of the bat and Stokes get off the mark. This is good bowling. Do they come back for two? Yes, indeed they do, after a little fumble in the outfield. So Stokes is away, though there's not Stokes. I would say, just looking at his body language here, it doesn't have its usual energy or aggression. I think that, you know, it doesn't matter how great a warrior you've been on the cricket field, every new innings when you're not in your best form is a challenge, isn't it? Mentally and physically.
Yeah, and you know, you go back to the greats of yesteryear, and I always remember somebody like a Viv Richards coming out. You never knew whether he was in good nick or bad nick because he swaggered out, and there's sometimes you've got to have that aura, particularly when your head is on the block. Everybody wants to get Ben Stokes out. He's the best all-rounder in the world currently, and he's always a prize wicket. It's sometimes there's a bit of that gamesmanship maybe required, which isn't always that easy.
Siraj again bounces. Stokes, a good one too, quick one. He's a lively pace, this guy. And Rishabh Pant has to fly really to pluck that out of the air, way above his head. Stokes swayed very well, very cool in the face of it, but it was sure a good ball. By no means a wasted bounce. So you can tell by the fact that Stokes had to react pretty smart. Did you play against Viv?
Thank goodness I didn't. No,
I was going to say that you would have been around a long time if you played. I think he finished in this country in '93.
Yeah, it was my hero growing up though. Just everything. The innings at Old Trafford in the one-day game where he got, was it 180 he got? Batting with Michael Holden. Yeah. What an innings. Wow.
It was a bit of a set two out in the middle. The umpires have come together. Stokes and Crawley are having a pretty heated conversation. They've got very close to each other. There's no sense of social distancing there. Stokes is unhappy. Crawley's saying, "What's your problem, mate?" It doesn't look the sort of thing that would get to fisticuffs, but it's certainly tense. It's tense rather than unpleasant, I think would describe it best.
I like it. I think this is good for Stokes. I think it'll get him in the contest. There's definitely some needle. Something's been said, and neither want to back down. This is what Test cricket's all about. There's a real contest going on there now.
Well, neither of these two will back down, that is for sure. Two of the toughest guys out there. Two of the toughest guys that have played the game. I reckon 32 for 3 are England. Here's Akshar Patel. That bounces and spins a bit, and Bairstow plays it really well at the top of its bounce, takes his bottom hand off the bat, if you like, sheltering the extra bounce and movement, causing him any more trouble than it need, perhaps. I'm going quiet because I'm listening to the stump mic, seeing if I can pick up as they replay what they all said to each other. Bairstow was in there at first, but I can't, I'm afraid. As Bairstow goes back and knocks that length ball into the offside for no run. Maybe Stokes is just saying he could do his peace and quiet out there while he's trying to concentrate on facing the ball. I don't know. Anyway, very hard for us to judge from this distance. Here's Akshar again. And Bairstow's forward. Defends the ball, hits him on the splice of the bat.
Yeah, you just get the feeling we're seeing a replay now, and it's almost Stokes maybe have started something with Siraj, and then Crawley might have just stepped in to defend his nasty fasty, as it were.
It's usually how these things begin.
Blame it on the bowlers always.
Well, forward goes Bairstow and defends another good length ball from Akshar Patel. Yes, I mean, if you've got a feisty competitor like Virat Kohli, he'll want to get involved. It's sort of in his nature a bit. He certainly won't want any of his players to be put upon by guys like Ben Stokes, who are such huge characters in the game. But I don't suppose anybody's more to blame than anybody else, as that ball is left alone outside off stump by Bairstow. It also turned and bounced. That's the obvious difference to me so far today, is the bounce in the pitch.
And almost the pace off the pitch as well. It's accelerating off the pitch as opposed to dying and turning off it. It's accelerating through the leave there from Bairstow.
Yeah. Oh, he's beaten him. Oh, it's a lazy shot. A nothing shot from Bairstow off the front foot, trying to back cut it with a flick of the wrists. And thankfully he misses the ball. And really, that's just being drawn into the sort of trickery of spin there. That's completely unnecessary. If your mind's really clear, you don't play a shot like that. He's got away with it. 32 for 3 at the end of the over.
Yeah, Akshar Patel's best over for me. He's all over Bairstow, that over. Challenging the inside edge by driving it in towards the stumps, and Bairstow up to the challenge, but hitting the splice of the bat. He's having to get right forward. It's hitting the stickers on his cricket bat. And then at the end of the over, he's just dragged him across the crease, and then just outside off stump with this extra bit of zip, bit of pace off the wicket, and the bounce just does him on the outside edge with that little bit of a nothing shot trying to get it through backward point. His best over by far for me.
Mohammad Siraj bowls to Stokes, who leaves alone outside off stump, but is really carrying through well to the wicket keeper. It looks an excellent pitch. There's a little bit of something for all the bowlers we've seen. It's difficult to be sure what's there for the batsman, and the reason for that is that England aren't batting with much confidence. So the odd bad ball, and there have been very few this morning, hasn't really. I mean, I can't think of a really sweet shot, a stroke where you just go yes.
No, and I think that's basically because India have been on the money. They've been magnificent with the ball to a man. You can't say that anybody hasn't done exactly what they were planned.
Stokes has edged it wide of slip. Little sort of game within a game here now between Mohammad Siraj and Ben Stokes. They're eyeing each other up. Siraj got the better of him there, but I think when you first go in against the new ball, against good bowlers, you're bound to get some thick edges that go down a third man. And he's got the benefit of one there as Ben Stokes.
Yeah, it's difficult playing on the back foot, but you've still got to get your head in the ball. It's just not quite in the ball. It's not like Ben Stokes that we're used to. He's not quite that assertiveness with his and precision with his foot movement and getting his head into it. It's a fine piece of bowling, and you've got to give credit to Siraj here. He's hit a beautiful line, a beautiful length, zipping it a little bit across him, a little bit in, making it very difficult. 3
slips weight and the gully, and this time Stokes goes half forward and lets the ball come a long way to him and plays it really well. It runs down into the gully off the face of the blade. Impressive. There's no doubt that Siraj gets hurry off the surface, and there are lots of reasons for that, not least of course is the excellent wrist position, but I always think the follow through is an underrated part of a bowler's action, and when you get right through your action, you're going to get more zip off the surface.
Yeah, and when somebody's bowling well, when they fully complete their action, they know that the ball's going where they want, and they really finish that wheel, that bowling wheel.
Now he bowls to Ben Stokes. Imagine if he could get the win double of Root and Stokes. Anyway, it's the end of a superb over, with 3 of them in a row now, 2 from Siraj, 1 from Akshar Patel, and England having to resist with all that they've got. 37 for 3. Getting a lot of replays at the moment from the television companies about the sets being bowled by these bowlers. And that's why I'm thinking it's the end of the over when it perhaps isn't. It's hard to commentate off pictures that aren't live. Here's Siraj again, so it wasn't anywhere near the end of the over. Stokes goes back and pulls it, and by no means gets it off the middle of the bat, but it's a fast outfield and makes it to the boundary at wide long on. That tells you how early he was on the stroke and how he retained control of himself by not trying to hit it too hard.
He was almost stood there waiting for it. He's on the back foot. He's a little bit chest on, and I think that's probably why he doesn't get the power. His left hip he's a bit square on, so it's a bit of a handsy shot, but nevertheless a powerful shot through straight mid-wicket. And because of this billiard table outfield, it runs off for 4. But that's Stokes trying to put a bit back on Siraj. There's a little bit of needle going on. It's good from Stokes.
Again, he chews on his gum, looks around, squints a bit, settles into his stance. Siraj bowls a good ball, and he gets 4 down to third man. So some runs coming in this over, some intentionally and some not. It comes off the thick edge as he defends on the back foot. Siraj says something to him. He has a listen, and then he sort of holds his hands as if, opens them up as if to say, well, you know, what's going on here? Why am I getting all this flack? And looks at Crawley, and Crawley ignores him, and Stokes has a little fisty pump with Bairstow. Siraj turns around and goes back to his mark, and this is all theatre. It's the only way to describe it. The crowd love it. They cheer Siraj. I've said that before. I think he's bowling so well he deserves a glass of wine, but he's probably not a drinker. Anyway, it's Mohammad Siraj that I'm obviously talking about as he steams in again to Ben Stokes. He really is playing from the crease. He's just trying to keep dead still and watch the ball. He's not confident in his footwork. He defends that nicely off the middle of the bat, but there's no great footwork. It's the end of the over finally, and it's 45 for 3. We're going to have a word from Gareth Batty. I think I'm handing over to you, Neil Manthorpe, aren't I?
Yeah, this is a great contest within a contest. 2 men going hard at it in Stokes and Siraj. Siraj has been very impressive this morning. His figures don't marry up to that. He's gone for 22 now off the 5, but there would be at least 12 runs for me down to third man through good bowling. Decent batting as well. That the Knicks haven't carried to slip. They've been played with soft hands. But it's the little battle, and you can see why Virat Kohli likes having him in the team. Kohli, quite a prickly, aggressive character, and Siraj backing that up with his performance. But also his execution, his line and length has been impeccable. And just off that line, some going in and some going out to the batsman. It's been an impressive performance in this first hour and a half from India with the ball.
And none better than Akshar Patel, the left-arm spinner, and he's back into the attack now, and it's flicked away off his pads down towards short third man, and very well fielded by fine leg, I should say. Short third man, short fine leg, and well fielded by Virat Kohli. Johnny Bairstow remains on 10 from 33 deliveries. Not entirely convincing throughout his innings, isn't Bairstow, but as Steve Harmison is fond of saying, you have to earn the right to score runs. Again, he uses his feet now, does Bairstow, flicking at this one again, heading down the leg side, and it's gone to short fine leg straight to the fielder along the ground.
You feel like the method from Bairstow is right though. He's trying to hit the ball, he's trying to get his bat in front of the pad to the left arm spinner. He's trying not to get done on the inside. It's very much a modern way of playing with DRS. You've got to access the ball, and he's done it well, and it's a difficult thing to do. It's not a natural thing. You normally want to go bat and pad a little bit, but he's getting his bat in front. I think the technical side of it is very good from Bairstow.
Here is Akshar Patel, and that's flicked away down again to short fine leg, going straight to the fielder, Mohammad Siraj, and there's no run. You think back to your earliest years of playing cricket, batting. Do you remember your first coach, Gareth Batty? Do you remember whether he taught you to keep the bat alongside the pad at all times? Bat alongside the pad when you're defending. Is chopped away off the back foot now, Johnny Bairstow. He's got that away very nicely out towards the cover boundary for 4. He gave himself a little bit of room. He had a bit of width to start with, and then accentuated it by taking a step to the leg side and punched through the offside for 4.
Yeah, it's all about the quickness of feet. He's going up and down the line of the ball, pushes off that front foot onto the back foot, and he only needs a fraction of width. It's only a whisker outside off stump. Bairstow uses that width by going back straight, creates the angle. Lovely straight back punch just in front of point. Lovely batting from Bairstow.
Indeed, he moves up to 14 alongside Ben Stokes on that score. 49 for 3. Bairstow forward again, playing defensively. Maybe I wasn't listening correctly, but I remember my first coach saying, don't play in front of your pad. Don't reach out for the ball. Keep your bat alongside your pad. You can only get into trouble by reaching for the ball. But that clearly is that's gone by the wayside. Not that we had DRS at under 13 level. Forward comes Bairstow once again and pushes this one away defensively. No run. 16 overs gone. England 49 for 3.
No, you're dead right. There was a coach called Doug Paget who played lots of cricket for Yorkshire. I believe he played for England as well, Doug. And he used to talk about hitting with the spin, hit it into short leg as a right-hander playing to an off-spinner, hit the ball into short leg, play with it. And he used to absolutely have your badge. He would say that your pad is your second line of defence. So get it in line at least, and then try and get your hands out in front. And that was right then. Unfortunately, the game has fractionally changed with DRS, and the technical way of lining it up has changed. And also we have more knowledge of how you can hit into the spin more now. Yes, you have to pick length very well, but you can line spin up differently, and the great players now do line it up to hit into the spin a little bit with a straighter bat, as opposed to flicking the face. You'd line it up to, if the spin's spinning away from you, then your bat is coming down from off stump into that spin, which I think Johnny Bairstow is doing brilliantly today. He's getting his pad in front and he's playing into the spin, so he's taking the inside edge out of the equation. If he gets an absolute peach, he gets a peach. There's not a lot you can do about it.
Here's Mohammad Siraj, who's bowled beautifully this morning, and that one goes away from the left-handed Ben Stokes and hit the seam, and I'm not sure if that swung before it seamed away, but it was definitely some seam movement. Never mind the pad being the second line of defence. I had a coach, Martin Cook, he used to play for Surrey as well for a time, and there were times that he'd say use your pad as your first line of defence, and he taught us how to do that.
My first tour of Sri Lanka, that was very much the case. Muralitharan, just kick him. Just be a good footballer, because you can't hit him, he's too good.
England 49 for 3. Here is Mohammad Siraj once again. Ben Stokes pushes it behind square on the offside to backward point, no run. Hello, Jared Kimber. Who's your first coach?
No, well, my coach just said stop trying to hit everything for 6. To be fair, stop getting bold. But I think the biggest change for me is, if you remember Jimmy Adams, who scored, I think, 520 runs in 3 tests in India and ended up being known as Jimmy Padams. He probably would be out about 83 times now with DRS, the way that he played against spin. It has just changed that much, and that was only in the 90s.
Absolutely. Here's Siraj. Forward comes Stokes. Not very far forward, actually just playing from the crease, really. Yeah, I mean, I think we can go back through history and pick out literally dozens of batsmen who would have probably been entirely different players in the DRS era, especially against spin.
It was the old school, wasn't it? Well, if you get a stride in, you can't be at LBW.
Yeah.
Unless you're sweeping, and if you're sweeping, it hits you on the pad, you're out. Regardless as to anything other, that was the old school mentality, wasn't it? In the 80s, 90s, you're out sweeping, you miss it on the front, you're out LBW. But if you've got a big stride and you're playing a forward defensive, you can't be out. Never hitting.
49 for 3. 3 slips wait as Siraj is in again outside the off stump, and it's left alone. If you speak to some umpires, as I have done, who used to umpire in the 80s and even into the 90s, they would just switch off when a certain batsman was playing spin. They say, but he can't. He's a front footer. He's just not out. They just he's not an LBW candidate because he was on the front foot all the time, getting a stride in all the time. If they hit him on the pad, he was not out.
Talking about the way things have changed, my favourite is still that the umpires used to say, well, if you haven't used your bat and you've left the ball, you're probably out. And that just doesn't exist anymore.
Siraj again, and clipped away out towards mid-wicket, and fielded by Ishant Sharma. They go through for a single. Yeah, I mean, I think the umpires who gave LBW decisions based on the quality of the shot.
I mean, definitely, especially when it comes to leaves. And I think that lasted about 2 years of DRS until the umpires just went, we're getting overturned every time now. And you realise that batsmen actually do understand where their off-stump is far better than we ever thought before.
And there were certain umpires that would be like, if you were batting 9, 10, 11, if you were the bowler, they were literally, just hit this bloke on the pads, we can have a day off tomorrow. And they'd say that to you. They'd 100%.
And under DRS, one thing that we've noticed having a look at all the data is that doesn't happen anymore in Test cricket. Like, umpires are now, like, number 11s get the same quality of decisions as everyone else.
Same in first class cricket. You've got to work so hard now compared to maybe, the good years.
That single to Ben Stokes took him to 15 and England to 50 for 3. Sirajin again, right up in the block hole. The in-swinger this time to Johnny Bairstow. Manages to keep it out. Bats, it reminds me of the many people who said, gee, the quality of tail-end batting's improved.
It has as well. The modern game now, and I'm not just saying it because I do a spot of coaching every now and again. The lads work so hard now, and there's no such a thing as, oh, well, don't bring your batting kit. Everybody bats, and everybody bats for the allotted time, and everybody works on the technique, because you might be batting with a guy who's on 100 not out, and you might bat at 10 and 11, but if you can face 50 balls with him, that might be the difference between another 50 or 60 runs in your innings. And I think the understanding of those extra runs or time at the crease and so on and so forth is very much more understood nowadays.
Just before you go, Bats, I wanted to ask you, as a coach, if somebody is hopeless as a batsman, but is a very good bowler, but sort of recognises in himself or herself that they're a hopeless batsman and they don't really work on it, is that sort of tolerated at all these days? Here is Akshar Patel, the left arm spinner, continues to Stokes, who defends.
Well, firstly, if I'm the coach, it's my job to make them better, or try and help them to get better. As long as they have a want, you can make anybody better, and anybody can be the player they want to be. Just put some time into it.
Akshar Patel, forward comes Stokes again, playing defensively, and there's no run. Talking of tail enders.
But the final thing, Kevin Peterson came over as an off spinner, batting at 7, ended up out probably our greatest player ever.
Akshar Patel in. Stokes sweeps, top edge, just over the head of Cheteshwar Pujara, fielding at slip. Ajinkya Rahane, beg your pardon. And unless it came off the pad, no, there definitely was a top edge. Certainly was. So a fortuitous single for Ben Stokes takes him on to 16. Darren Goff and Steve Harmison enjoying all the talk of tail end batting.
We're just talking about the love of umpires. Our favourite umpire, Ray Julian. Bless him, he
was a beauty.
The relationship between players and umpires was different in your career, wasn't it? Certainly in the... Here is Akshar Patel. Forward comes Johnny Bairstow. There was a sort of a realisation and an acceptance that they were also people. I mean, you'd have a pint in the pub at the end of the day's play with the umpires.
Listen, they were going to be like your mates, aren't they? During that hours of play.
That's how you got your decisions.
That's close enough for me.
51 for 3 England. They've not had a great morning after winning the toss and choosing to bat first. Zach Crawley's gone for 9, Dom Sibley for 2 and Joe Root for 5.
What I will say is, but it's been a good pitch. Absolutely belter so far. It's got a little bit in it for the seamer and the new ball.
But Akshar in once again. Johnny Bairstow plays defensively. It has been, actually.
Not taking a piece, and that's all we've ever asked for. You don't mind if it spins, you don't mind if it seems a little bit, but when it starts dusting and taking a bit of a pitch with it on day one, that's not acceptable. So far, this has been a good pitch.
Here is Akshar Patel, and slapped away off the back foot. Tiny bit of width outside the off stump, and Bairstow has been very good in that area. As I say, he's given a little bit of width and he maximises it. Takes a step towards the leg side and punch through the offside for 4.
Yeah, it was a great shot there by Johnny. He's just waited on that to come just a touch shorter, touch slower, touch shorter by Akshar Patel. Fast hands by Johnny. Great fast hands, outside off stump, ball probably at the height of the top of the stumps, and he's rocked back and he's getting it back past backward point. And he looks in good nick here. Don't want to put too much pressure on a commentator's curse, but he looks in good order here, Johnny. He's worked hard. He's gone front and back foot in defence. There's a lot more. You're not seeing as much of the stumps when he is defending against the left arm spin, and because of that, Aksar's then just trying to change things up. And when he's doing that, that gives Johnny more chance to score. And he's climbed in when the opportunity has arose.
Confirmation that there is something in this pitch for the seamers. Ishant Sharma's back for a second spell, and that first delivery is wayward, too short and well down the leg side, and Stokes leaves it alone, passes underneath his armpit. You're listening to commentary of the 4th test between India and England on TalkSport 2 with the Times and the Sunday Times, their cricket team led by former England captains Mike Atherton and Sir Alistair Cook on Sundays. So I was telling you about the dismissals. Dom Sibley first to go, bowled by Akshar Patel off a thin inside edge. He went for 2. Zach Crawley tried to hit Akshar Patel over the top of mid-off. The ball sliced off the face of the bat and was caught at mid-off by Siraj. He went for 9, and then Joe Root trapped LBW. Excellent delivery from Mohammad Siraj for 5. And Ben Stokes now plays defensively to Ishant Sharma towards mid-wicket. Stokes on 16, Bairstow on 18. England are 55 for 3.
Just on tail enders, Manners, on the batting. Basically, the 9, 10, 11 haven't changed averages in 100 years. Still basically averaging about 13 as a group. So for all the talk, we talk about how they've improved as, their actual skill levels, they haven't really improved their average in all that time.
That's one of those statistics that I don't want to be true.
I think they face more balls and are better playing in partnerships now. And I think bowlers are better at bowling at tail enders than they used to be. I think it used to be a little bit more, we'll just get through them easy, and they'd get a couple away.
Here is Ishant Sharma once again, and Stokes turns another leg side delivery off his thigh pad down towards fine leg, and it's fielded by Akshar Patel. So, interestingly, I'm guessing that tail enders' strike rates might have... they would score their runs more slowly. They might still be averaging 13.
Yeah, I didn't look that
12
up.
or 13. But do you know what I mean? So
I
9,
think
10, 11 used to come out and have a whack.
Yeah. Mate, there's no way Jimmy Anderson were getting 90 in the 90s. Facing Waqar Younis, Wasim Akram, Courtney
90s.
Walsh, Curtly Ambrose. It wasn't happening, mate. Jimmy Anderson wasn't going to get 90 like he did against India facing that bowling.
The 90s
Let me tell you.
is very interesting, Goffey, because that's actually the worst decade ever for tail enders. So that's what ruined your career. You were an all-rounder in any other era, is what I'm saying.
Spot on. I wonder why, because look at the bowling attacks countries had in them days, in the 90s. Even Sri Lanka, even Zimbabwe had an unbelievable bowling attack.
What, Heath Streak?
Edda Branders,
yeah.
Neil Johnson. He was lively, Neil Johnson.
Here is Ishant Sharma once again, bowls. Oh, edged and over the top of third slip. There is nobody at third slip, but it was certainly an uncontrolled shot from Johnny Bairstow. A little bit loose that, and not for the first time. And he picks up 4 runs. He moves on to 22, flying off the top edge down to an unguarded third man boundary. England 60 for 3.
Yeah, this is where you cash in. If you're Johnny, you've earned the right to be in. Got a loose ball wide outside off stump. And if you're going to go hard, and he's done that, and he's purposely played it upish, gone over the top of probably about 4th slip, and he's got a boundary that he's deserved, and he's deserved it because he's kept his head down. He's worked hard on his defence. He's kept the ball out from the left arm spinner, and when there is a chance to score, Johnny's looked to score.
60 for 3 England into the 19th over, winning the toss, choosing to bat first. Here's Ishant Sharma once again, and this one is turned again nicely off I think literally off the thigh pad for a leg by down to Ashwin at third man. We haven't seen Ashwin into the attack so far today.
Well, I'm surprised at that, especially with Ben Stokes at the crease. You can't afford to let Ben Stokes get in. He's 17 at this moment in time, and Ashwin has not had a go at him yet, so I'm very surprised at that. But it just goes to show, and there's a little bit in it for the seamer here, and I don't mean by seam and swing and all that, but there's a bit of pace, there's a bit of carry. Ishant Sharma come back into the attack, and he's just got those legs pumping a little bit too much at the moment, trying a little bit too hard. He's seen a bit of carry, and he get carried away.
Ben Stokes made a really impressive, memorable 80 in the first Test match, but has been a bit run shy since then. That's outside the off stump and is left alone. Last ball of the over from Ishant Sharma. So that was a loose over from Ishant. I don't think he'll be particularly pleased about that. First over back for a second spell. Stokes is 17, Bairstow 22. England are 61 for 3.
I actually think India, the seamers, have bowled well to Ben Stokes, apart from that last over there by Ishant. His first over back. Siraj has bowled a decent spell over the wicket, then round the wicket. And I just wondered if Kohli's gone to Ishant because he has this knack of going around the wicket and taking the ball away from the left-hander, thinking because Ben's movements wasn't as great and he's getting a few down to third man, that he thought, well, I wonder another punt on Ishant, because, like Darren said, he was getting his knees pumping and he was getting the ball to go through the air, and he was getting a little bit of assistance off the surface. But here we come. Here's Ashwin on now.
Indeed, he is. It's very difficult to estimate crowd number in a stadium that holds 110,000. I mean, it looks quite sparse, but I reckon there's close to 20,000 in today, and more coming in all the time.
I think sometimes, man, as you work in India, you work the size of the crowd because it's either noisy, even noisier, or absolutely deafening. That's where you work out how big the crowd is. So it's going to be
silent.
All silent. Yeah, that's when you take a wicket.
They are capable of the most unbelievable silence, no matter how many thousands.
Well, it happened the last Test match for a little while.
Yeah.
Not for long though.
No, it wasn't for long. Here is R. Ashwin, first delivery, and no turn. Johnny Bairstow pushes it out towards mid-wicket, straight to the fielder, and there's no run.
Big 20 minutes here for England, Manners. Absolutely huge 20 minutes, I think. The Tech getting to lunch now. They'll be disappointed they've lost 3 wickets, especially the manner in which we've lost them.
Here is Ashwin again, and that's turned out towards mid-wicket, straight to the fielder again, no run.
Yeah, it's a good point, Darren. It's the manner they've lost them. It's not so much the losing 3 wickets. You know, they've given wickets away.
England 61 for 3. Ben Stokes 17, Bairstow on strike, Johnny Bairstow on 22, slip and a short leg, and the batsman walks away. Johnny Bairstow backs away. There's some movement behind the bowler's arm. I think you two are being a bit harsh, or maybe not giving the bowlers enough credit.
Crawley?
Zach Crawley gave it away.
Howler of a shot, Zach.
Yeah, no, he's run down the wicket and sliced it to mid-off.
Sibley playing out, and defence not quite solid out.
Technically all over the shop, Sibley.
Exactly, yeah.
That was a cracking ball that got Joe Root LBW though.
Good delivery for Joe, yeah.
Ashwin flicked away by Bairstow with the spin out towards the man on the deep mid-wicket boundary.
What's that song? 2 out of 3 is not bad.
I was going to say that exact same thing. 2 out of 3 then. So I think Dom Sibley was technically a bad shot, and I thought Zach Crawley got nowhere near it and still tried to go. And people said he was trying to hit it out over mid-off. Was he? Yeah, he was hitting that either straight or to mid-on area. It was a poor. I mean, I get the intent, but when you don't get near it, when you come down, it doesn't mean you have to
change your mind. Yeah,
you can change your mind and block it if you don't get to it.
Yeah, no, that didn't look good. But I think, you know, we've seen Akshar Patel take a dozen wickets with his quick straight honour, and so when he got Sibley with it again, I thought, well, you know, he bowls it so well. He's had so much success with it. Here is Ashwin again, and Stokes goes forward, then rocks onto the back foot and plays defensively. Stokes 17, Bairstow 23.
But there's been no turn, has there? So you've got to expect, you can't be playing a game thinking, oh, there's going to be turn. You've got to play the ball.
Ashwin down the wicket comes Stokes, and that's how to go downtown. And he's gone all the way for 6 over long off. Used his feet beautifully, got to the pitch of it, and it was just looked effortless. It was just ease and grace.
Well, we've seen this from Ben Stokes loads of times, and actually I have a feeling he's going to. Can you go a whole series without seeing Ben Stokes fire and play a match-winning innings? I mean, we just expect it now, don't we? And when he gets in form, when he uses his feet, when he's got that mentality, he's going to attack. He can be very dangerous.
Beautiful shot. Long off has stayed on the fence now. Ashwin in, bowls. Stokes comes forward and plays defensively to silly point. And he remains on 23, the same score that Johnny Bairstow has. England in all sorts of early trouble. 1 for 10, 15 for 2, 30 for 3, but now 68 for 3. And to take you through to lunch, it'll be in the company of Andrew McKenna.
Cheers, Manners. So there we go. Ashwin into the attack. 20th over of the match. England 3 down already. Winning the toss a couple of hours ago. 68 for 3 after 20 overs this morning. Crawley, Sibley, Roots all back in the hutch. Bairstow and Stokes, the not-out men for England. Remember, 2-1 down in the series. England have to win this to make it 2-2, and a result that would deny India a place in the World Test Championship final. If India avoid defeat, they are in to face New Zealand. Ishant Sharma to start in the over. Short, wide, and Bairstow thumps it off the back foot through cover for 4. Glorious shot. Bairstow goes to 27. England 72 for 3.
Well, this is perfect for England, we all know we prefer to face the seam bowlers wherever we are around the world, and Johnny Bairstow will be absolutely loving this. Not much spin too far. He's played the spin well. He's looked to defend, waited for a real bad ball, but he's getting chances to hit the ball off the seamers. And Ishant Sharma, since he's come back, probably tried a little bit too hard to get that breakthrough. Has now bought a couple of 4 deliveries, and Johnny's away. 27 not out now, Johnny Bairstow.
Yep, of course he bagged a pair on this ground in the last game, but he's got runs to his name now. He waits, bat raised, 2 slips in the gully behind him as Ishant Sharma nips one back, and it takes him on the back leg, high on the thigh, so no question of a review or anything like that, as it would have been far too high. But there's still some movement. Harmy and Goffey watching this as fast bowlers. You know, we're nearing lunch on day 1 of this test match, but there's still something there, boys.
There is, and it's how you hit the pitch. Ishant is his seam position is just canted towards off stump. He's looking to shape the ball in, but his wrist position's right behind the ball. When you do that and your action's in sync and everything's going nicely, like Darren said before, his knees are pumping. And when you do that, if there's anything in the surface, just a little bit in the surface, you will get the ball to deviate off the seam if you're hitting the pitch hard.
Ishant goes in, and Johnny Bairstow is playing a drive at this ball. He's aiming to cover, but he never actually moved his feet or transferred his weight. That one was a shot with all the hands, but there's no time, and it's off the inside portion of the bat, and it dribbles out, no run.
But the problem you get sometimes, Macca, is when you slightly deviate off line. And I think that's what Ishant's done here, because he's trying too hard. He's got a little bit of pace up. His beans are going. England are 3 wickets down. All of a sudden, he's just pushed it a little bit wide. And when you do that, you give somebody like Johnny Bairstow and Ben Stokes with quick hands a chance to score. And that's the small margins you probably have on this surface for the seamers, that if you are slightly offline, because the bounce and there's a little bit more pace in it, you have got a chance to score as a batsman.
Ishant Sharma goes in past umpire Virender Sharma. It's outside of Bairstow's off stump, and he allows it through to Rishabh Pant. No run.
And the reason his beans are going is but England are 3 down, and he's thinking here his captain's brought him back on. He's the senior fast bowler, and he takes another wicket with him here. You take England in at 4 down at lunch. It's a massive session for India, having lost the toss, and for England it's a disastrous morning. They get through to lunch now 3 down. The always golden rule was if we can get to lunch no more than 3 down, we should get the best of the conditions to bat on, and that second session. So England, this next 15 minutes is vital.
2 balls left of the 21st over. Yeah, we are 13-14 minutes away from the first interval. Ishant is in. Bairstow off the back foot, pushing on the offside, and there is no run. England elected to strengthen the batting with Dan Lawrence coming in. He's going to bat at number 7 with Ben Foakes at 8 for England. Dom Bess back into the side at 9. Jofra Archer and Stuart Broad, the 2 men to miss out. I don't want to be that guy, chaps, but England got their team horribly wrong in the 3rd test. Have they potentially slightly misread this pitch, or are we asking that question too early? Because, look, we know it's going to spin, but there does seem to be a decent amount of life in this. It's a sort of pitch that Jofra Archer looks like he'd have been handy on.
Well, if they'd have lost the toss, we might be having a different conversation, but they've won the toss, so I think they've made the right selection.
Yeah. Ishant, right arm over, goes in, another nip backer. Johnny Bairstow had the bat above his head there, and Pat was down the line. It was close to brushing on the way through. India got a little bit excited, but nothing in the end. 21 overs gone here on TalkSport 2. Johnny Bairstow's going to change his gloves. 72 for 3 are England. As Steve Harmison and Darren Goff bring you some more thoughts.
And that's the good thing for England, that Joe did win the toss, and he has got things gone in his favour. I'm still torn whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing to strengthen the batting. Always worked the theory that if you have got a batter who has got a decent average in what is going to be Ben Folkes, the last thing you want him to be is 15 not out twice because he's run out of partners. You're 1 wicket away of potentially running out of partners when you could have had a seamer who could potentially bowl 10, 12, 14 overs an innings.
But the problem is Sam Curran couldn't get there because of flight problems as an all-rounder, and then Wilkesy went home.
Ashwin to start his second over. Ben Stokes is forward, pushing out on the offside. There is no run.
I don't think Wilkes was ever going to play in this. I don't think he was ever going to play for 8 weeks.
In my mind, he would have done, because he can bat 7 and he's as good a bowler as anybody else in that touring party. Absolutely as good a bowler as anybody else.
Ashwin around the wicket. Stokes, this one bounces and he plays it almost waist high. Drops it down on the floor, no run.
Not for me. You're going in a touring party with Broad and Anderson on tour, and you're saying, right, they're gonna play alternate Broad or Anderson. They can't play together. Well, if you go with that theory, you can't bring Wilkes in either.
Ashwin around the wicket. Stokes deep in his crease, pushes back to the bowler.
Well, you can in this game. If he's going to bat at 7, you wouldn't have needed. If we'd have lost the toss and we'd have been bowling here, we'd have had Ben Stokes with the new ball, right? And we'd have been thinking, well, who's going to bowl me a few overs here?
Ashwin, little bit of air on that one. Stokes coming forward, pushes out on the offside.
Wilkes would have been bowling a few overs with the new ball, and he can bat at 7.
I don't think for 1 minute Wilkes would have been in this. Well, Wilkes and Anderson in the same team. Wilkes and Anderson in the same team with a new ball.
One bats, mate.
Ashwin, it's full, floated up from round about the crease line. Stokes is pushing out on the offside.
Problem England have had over the course of the last 4 or 5 winters is we're talking about Broad and Anderson, 2 80-mile-an-hour bowlers. You've got Wilkes and Anderson, 2 80-mile-an-hour bowlers. Both take the ball away from the right-hander.
Ashwin is bowling to Stokes. Stokes gets a little bit chest on, pushes back down the pitch, and there is no run. Completes the over. It is Ashwin's second. He's gone for 7. Of course, 6 of those coming in one shot off of Ben Stokes. England 72 for 3 here on TalkSport and TalkSport 2. There are 8 overs nominally till we get to the lunch break. If you work on 30 overs per session, well, we're not going to get those because we're 8 minutes away from the first interval of this 4th test match.
Just on the walks one, I think you're a bit harsh on him saying he's 80 miles an hour bowler. I think he's quicker than Broad and Anderson.
I'm not having a go at Chris Wilkes. I didn't
He
see
said he's an
how.
80-mile-an-hour bowler. Army, he's not. Well, he's quicker than He's quicker than the other 2. He's a totally different bowler. Yeah, in English conditions, he can step off the pedal. He can put the ball on the length, and he can make the ball talk. Like Anderson, and I get the like for like.
He averages over 50 in overseas trips.
But look at the way he's improved over the past 12 months as a bowler. We hadn't seen him really, but now in so many test matches, I agree with you. But the one test he could have played, because Sam Curran's not there, he couldn't get a flight back out there in time for these test matches. Chris Wilkes would have been the natural replacement for Sam Curran. If Sam Curran would have been there, he would have played this test match. He would have played this test match.
I do not think for 1 minute England would have picked 2 right-arm seamers who bowl very similar.
Akshar Patel is into the attack for England, and Johnny Bairstow has potentially run himself out. First ball, he's turned to square leg. I think Bairstow has got back in, but there was a real yes-no with Stokes. Pujara is the man who's done the fielding. Pants whipped off the bails, and we will go to Anil Chowdhury, the third umpire. I'm pretty confident that Bairstow has made it back, but 7 or 8 minutes to go till lunch, it's a bit unnecessary. Bairstow is turning it on the onside. The throw comes back in, and his bat is over the line once the zing bails start lighting up. So we're just
waiting. Keep going, grounded. Yeah, grounded.
He's 6 inches over the line in the end there, Johnny Bairstow, so no problem, he does make it back.
It's amazing when you're watching it in slow motion, when it looks like the keeper's got the ball and he's still 6 or 7 inches outside, but it's amazing how long it takes for the keeper to get the ball back towards the stumps.
Akshar replacing the seam of Ishant. He's got 2 for 19 so far. Johnny Bairstow's working this one on the onside, and there's no run. It was one of those that Bairstow got over a third of the way down before he had to put the anchors on.
Just wonder if he hasn't seen the fielder there. He's seen from short leg blocking the view.
Bairstow is just propping forward and puts Axar out on the offside, no run.
Johnny looking to rotate the strike, left and right hand combination, not let Axar sit in. And I think Johnny's just thought the edge has gone past short leg right, there's a single there gone. And he's probably not realised that Pajara's that close.
Axar, left arm around, finds the middle of Johnny Bairstow's bat as he's coming forward, just defending out, no run.
Johnny's movements here are excellent. Yeah, they're all in sync. When he goes back, he's in sync, and his balance, head position, everything coming forward. His defence looks good, and that's, you know, he looks so in tune with his movements.
Bairstow forward, just defensively, no run again.
Well, it's getting in. I think that was the biggest battle. They tried him, didn't they, with that quicker arm ball first up, thinking he might just lunge at it. But now you're right, his movements and his timing look really good at this moment in time because the confidence is coming back in his play.
Yep, he spent time in the middle. He's had some nets. He's accustomed to it.
Yeah, not after a bit of quarantine and
which is all
2
the
weeks
arguments for him not going home. Yeah. Axar around. There's a silly point in place as Bairstow comes forward to complete the over. 23 gone here on TalkSport and TalkSport 2. 72 for 3. Coverage of the fourth test between India and England on TalkSport 2 with the Times and the Sunday Times cricket team, which is writing with an edge. Yeah, it's going to be the talking point about players coming and going and the squads that's been picked and all of that. It is what it is at the moment. They just have to deal with it. Although I was thinking about this yesterday and the day before when in the lead up to the test, and people talking about, well, you know, the multi-format players. But actually if you look down this England team that they picked for this test match, a great many are test specialists. Ashwin starts the new over to Stokes, pushes back down the pitch, no run. Stokes obviously is one of the multi-format players. Bairstow's been in and out of the test side, and then really it's Wokes would be the other one. I mean, obviously with Butler already home, Stokes forward pushes, no run. So in many respects England could have actually picked a squad for the entire test series of test specialists and then brought out the white ball players, the multi-format players later on in the tour. Ashwin to Stokes. Stokes turns to Pujara at mid-wicket. There's no run. I guess the point I'm making is, did England make it more complicated than it needed to be?
Yeah, I think that's the problem. I think the complication of one test here, two tests there, and not sure what's going to happen. But as long as England have got a plan.
Ashwin around the wicket to Stokes, playing forward back to the bowler, no run.
And they know what they're doing, then you've got to trust them with that. Talking about getting to the Ashes and T20 World Cup, that's a long way away. Out of form, injuries, everything, you know, a lot of wide-ranging things can come into it.
Ashwin in. Stokes plays no shot at this one, through to Pant, no run.
And I think a lot of people, especially players and the management staff, get when former players are not having a go but having their say. We're not against the rotation policy, it's just actually what the players are rotating from. 4 test matches in India are so important.
Ashwin gives this one some loop outside of off stump and Stokes throws the kitchen sink at that one, doesn't get anything. It's through to Pan to finish the over. 24 gone on TalkSport and TalkSport 2. 72 for 3.
I think that's the one. I've been quite open on it, but I would have rested them all from the T20 and 50 over matches. But if you ask the players, I think they'd rather play the shorter format. That's the sad reality is, but most of the players who play all formats, if they have a choice what they're going to miss, they would rather miss the test matches. 5 days in India, I think that's going to be hard work. I'll tell you what, I'll play the T20s, massive crowds and whatever, and 3 1-dayers, job done. I wouldn't have picked any of these, but I would have had the strongest side possible for the test series and rested them all from the T20, because they've still got 10 weeks of the IPL to play.
That's my point. You could have effectively picked a squad for Sri Lanka and the 4 tests, and then had a white ball squad come out and then go on to the IPL. Because as you say, there's enough time and whatever. Well, anyway, that didn't happen, so we're kind of having a pointless conversation. Akshar Patel to start a new over, left arm around. Rishabh Pant is getting unbelievably excited at that delivery that's been pushed to mid-on for a single. He must be a fan of a single to mid-on. That's the only thing why he's getting that excited.
Yeah, good batting as well by Johnny Bairstow. Left and right in combination, mentioned earlier, trying to not let Axar settle, not not let him dig a hole in a trench against the one batsman and somebody down at the one end for a long period of time. It was actually, he got excited because Ben Stokes was ball watching a little bit, didn't trust Johnny. When Johnny said run, he had a little turnaround, which then made him sort of arc his run and took that little bit longer.
By the way, Gary Morgan, our stats man, has been on. Woakes and Anderson have played in 26 Test matches for England in the same team. Stokes is forward to Akshar bowling left arm around. It's turned to backward square leg and they will take a single. And in those 26 tests, Anderson has taken 100 wickets. Chris Woakes, 72.
But how many of them are in the Southern Hemisphere? They're all in England.
And Jimmy Anderson would have knocked over the tail. Woakes, he wouldn't get a chance at the tail in that either, let me assure you of that.
Senior pro comes in and all that.
It does indeed.
So we are on the verge of lunch. Johnny Bairstow is going to come forward to Akshar Patel's third delivery of this over. He's just pushing it out on the offside, no run. So realistically, this is going to be the last over before lunch. So we'll have got through 25 overs. England 3 wickets down at the moment. They were 30 for 3. They're now 74 for 3 as Stokes and Bairstow have begun the rebuilding. This one is outside of off stump. Bairstow plays no shot and it's through to Rishabh Pant. No run. Stokes 24 from 40. Bairstow 28 from 62. Bairstow waits. Akshar left arm around. That one's fired in a little bit. Bairstow's turning it on the onside. The short leg is at silly point, so he can play that shot quite happily. And there is no run. I'm sort of commentating and listening to Rishabh Pant at the moment because he is chirping an awful lot. It was been picked up actually by Alex Tudor that the ball before Zach Crawley came down the pitch, Rishabh Pant made a comment that he was starting to get fidgety. Next ball, Crawley goes down the pitch. Bairstow is playing this one up to mid-on, and that will complete the over on TalkSport. And TalkSport 2, 25 gone. 74 for 3. And so, I was just listening to Rishabh Pant, just see if he was trying to get into the batsman's head, trying to get them to do something silly, to see if he could goad them into something, but nothing on that occasion from Johnny Bairstow, boys.
It would have been really silly for him to do something in the last couple of balls before lunch on day one of a Test match when England are sitting at 74 for 3 here on TalkSport 2. But do you know something fascinating more in that? I really, really enjoyed it. Proper Test cricket. New ball, red ball. England win the toss and bat. And the ball, we had good pace, we had good carry, we had a little bit of movement, which you expect on that first hour of a Test match. We've seen no dusting of the pitch. We've seen the spinners on early, which have nothing wrong with that either, but there's no dust. It was good bowling from Akshar Patel. He's picked up a couple of wickets. It's a good session of Test match cricket.
Absolutely, Darren. It's about contest between bat and ball. That's all you ask for. You want to look down as a batsman and see that is a consistent bounce. Even if there's movement, laterally, the consistent bounce where you feel as though the ball is going to come and going to bounce nicely. And I think that's what we've had. We've had a little bit of a brain fade by Zach Crawley. Technical issue from Dom Sibley. A good ball to get rid of Joe Root. Fascinating morning of Test match cricket where the seamer was probably more effective than the spin bowler, and that's what you should have on day one of a Test match. England battled back and battled very, very well. So impressed by Johnny Bairstow's movements, his balance, the head position against the spinner. And what he's done is he's earned the right to score runs when the ball was offline, and he put the ball away. Big thing in that session though, Ben Stokes. He picked a fight with Mohammad Siraj. He picked a fight with Virat Kohli in the first 10 balls of his innings, and it got him switched on because the Ben Stokes has had a struggle in India so far. And what did he do? He got himself into a contest. You look at the players, and Darren will agree with me, the players that you play against, when you say don't wake them up, well, sometimes they need to wake themselves up. And that's what Ben Stokes did in that first session. And fingers crossed he comes out after lunch and he continues that. England need him. They need him and Bairstow to continue that. But all in all, it was a fantastic and a fascinating session of Test match cricket.
It's just gone 6 o'clock in the morning. People's alarms would have just been going off, and they're probably hearing you talk about a cracking session of cricket, 25 overs, 74 for 3. Only a handful of days ago, we were commentating on a dust bowl of a game where wickets were falling left, right and centre. So there's probably people lying in bed going, how can this pitch play so completely different to the one last week when it's in the same ground and it's about 3 yards away from the other one?
Well, it's different soil. It's good. We went from red soil to black soil. This one retains its moisture. It's got a nice little carry to it for the seamers. It brings seamers into the game. And also, India, you've got to remember, they don't want an absolute minefield. They don't want to get took on the end of it because they're playing for the place. They might tell you that they're not interested in a Test Championship or whatever it may be, but they're desperate to get to that final in England, whether it be at Lord's or whatever. So they can't afford to lose this Test match because it means Australia go through to it. And winning the toss, England have to bat well. The 74 for 3 could go any way at this moment in time, and when India bat, they still want the pitch to be in a decent position because they lost the toss where they can go on and get a big score. And I think the way it's looking so far is that we might have a decent test pitch for a couple of days.
So the story of the morning, England winning the toss and batting. Dom Sibley bowled by Akshar Patel for 2. That was 10 for 1, the second ball that Akshar had only sent down in the morning. Zach Crawley was out for 9, caught by Siraj at mid-off off the bowling of Akshar as he tried to take him on. Got nowhere near middling it and just lobbed it up to mid-off. That was 15 for 2. Joe Root, LBW to Siraj for 5, 30 for 3. The first ball after the drinks break. Good little inducker from Siraj. Hit Root on the pads, didn't review it, and wisely so, because it was horribly, horribly out. So 30 for 3 at that point. But at lunch, thanks to Ben Stokes' 24 not out, Johnny Bairstow's 28 not out, England are 74 for 3.